Chapter 76. You haven't heard of Jirao, but you want to come and eat Jirao rice? The man smiled awkwardly but politely. I wish you all the best. In his heart, he labeled An Xian and the other two as ignorant young men who were ignorant of the immensity of the world. The man lay back in the rocking chair, apparently not intending to continue the conversation. Unexpectedly, a question from An Xian made him jump up as he just lay down. I'm very curious, why would the star-blessed one of Jirao's star be in such a place? You. The man was shocked. He jumped up and looked at An Xian carefully for a long time. Little brother, you have a very sharp eye. I am blind. The man was silent for a moment and decided to skip this topic. My name is Zhang Mao. I am indeed a favored person of Jirao's star. As for why I farm, it is because my family has been serfs for generations. Zhang Mao turned his head to reveal the tattoo behind his ear, which was in the shape of a rice plant. Jirao Star City is the only star city that still preserves slavery. The Star Lord is the largest landlord, and below him are layers of small and medium landlords. As he spoke, he pointed around. But more of them are serfs like me. As a star-loved one, you can run for Star Master. Star-loving ones can, but slave-like star-loving ones cannot. An Xian understood, chatted with him for a few more minutes, then turned around and left with a new. A B-level star warrior is willing to be a serf here. Interesting. The unconcealed whisper was heard by Zhang Mao. He lay back in the rocking chair, his straw hat covering his face. Under the straw hat, his expression gradually became solemn and no one knew what he was thinking. Federal Parliament. The 36 people inside sat firmly on the high platform. The other 72 people filed in and took their seats in turn. When everyone was seated, someone spoke. Trial Team 7, life signals have disappeared and contact has been lost for more than a week, confirmed dead. How is that possible? Did you encounter an S-rank or higher star beast or a mutant? It was done by a gold medal liberator from the Freedom Forum. Everyone had a black question mark look on their faces. Gold medal Freeman? A trial team with 1 A level and 9 B levels? Do you want to listen to the bullshit you're talking about? After the congressman confirmed it again and again, everyone fell silent. Is this the strength of the Free Forum? The silence did not last long, as some members of parliament voiced their condemnation. The free men dared to attack the trial team, which seriously violated their principle of neutrality. According to investigation, the free man was in Nanan at the time, and the task of the trial team was to clean up Nanan, and the free man was also among the targets. So strictly speaking, his killing of the trial team was a counterattack in self-defense, and according to the agreement between the Federation and the Freedom Forum, he will not be held accountable. You mean, we have to suffer the consequences? This is the truth. Unless we declare war on the Freedom Forum and label it a rebel organization, we will have no choice but to swallow our anger. Let's put this matter aside for now. How should the Nanan army handle this? He is wanted by everyone. No one is allowed to sell supplies to him. Give them no chance to live, and let them exhaust their resources in the wasteland and die. Agree. Agree. According to Ting Feng's intelligence, there are signs of rebellion in Jirao Star City. Send troops to suppress it. Jirao is a rice warehouse, and there must be no problems. Leave this matter to the military. Agree. Agree. One last thing, what about the free man who can create a star warrior? Wait, I remember now. The golden free man who killed the Judgment Squad is the same person as this one. Everyone had their own plans in mind, killing the Judgment Squad would have little impact on them. But it's different for creating star warriors, who doesn't have an old man in their family. When the old man's lifespan is coming to an end, it is very tempting to let him become a star warrior to prolong his life. I propose to put pressure on the Freedom Forum. Send someone else to invite him. We can do this on 2 fronts. What if you can't invite him? If you can't invite them, then use methods that can't be invited. Not long ago, the He family Chable reported that this free man named An Xian went to Jirao. What a coincidence. We should use courtesy first and then force. If you can't invite them, let the military handle it together. The Haituo Star City authorities arrested 2 people in the name of arresting the remnants of the Nanan party. One of them is named Wang Gang and the other is named Li Huai. They are both acquainted with An Xian. Oh? That's good news. Tell them to keep an eye on the man. Welcoming the parliament. Jirao, do you understand? Federal Rice Barn. Learn. I tried ba rao rice once 3 years ago. It was so delicious. Now that we understand, there is a mission that requires 2 people to go to Jureo, find the Jureo star favorite and establish contact with him. Who will go? I'll go. Okay, Shenju, Zhenghu, I'll leave it to you. Welcome the light with your body. Silent night. If we want to complete the Spark project, the star city of Jureo must be eliminated. I agree. If Jureo is eliminated, there will be a huge gap in the Federation's food supply. I found a poisonous beast in the swamp star city, which had been occupied for 37 years. If we divert it to Jureo, it will destroy a large area of Jureo paddy fields. Then I'll leave this matter to you, Xizan. Sparks will set the prairie on fire. Free forum, 8-person chat group. A gossip worth 1,000 gold at Zhongxian, an old drunkard, what good wine do you have recently? Please share it with us. Puppies and plums all over the world, he has a lot of inventory. Whether you can take them out depends on your ability. President So of the Beauty Association my brother has woken up, and we need a few bottles of good wine for the celebration party. Wine Fairy, let's talk about it later. This year's Jureo rice is ripe, and I plan to borrow some to make wine. Nanan Star City. Star Lord, evacuate a total of 130,000 people, and the rest. Yang Gai's voice became smaller and smaller. There are more and more mutant species in the city. After An Xian left, the star beasts also began to move. It was extremely difficult to evacuate 130,000 people. Song Yanwen stood on the city wall and looked at Nanan. This once prosperous star city is now overrun with mutants and not a single person can be seen. Finally, he looked reluctantly in the direction of Nanan Star and turned around resolutely. I, Song Yanwen, swear that one day, I will come back. Li Gong. Arrive. Organize the troops and set out. Target, Jureo. Yes. With the situation surging from many directions, Jureo seemed to be at the center of the storm. An Xian had no idea about this, and even if he knew, he wouldn't care. He only cares about how to eat Jureo rice. 2 figures, one big and one small. Waving money, he shuttled between places where food was sold. From morning to night, all the way to the city center, I didn't buy a single pill. But Jureoshan did see it. Teams of soldiers armed with live ammunition take turns to guard the place 24 hours a day. There are quite a few drones hovering in the sky for monitoring. An Xian noticed that there were star warriors mixed in with them. The defense is even more strict than the city walls, which is daunting. Chapter 77. 20,000? This crappy place costs 20,000 for 5 days. It's not 5 days. 20,000 is the price for 1 day. Ha, good, good. An Xian laughed angrily. I was already in a bad mood because I didn't buy Jureo rice, and now I'm even worse. A land of abundance and joy in the fields. This is a BNB that is so shabby that no one would stay there if it were anywhere else. There are fields within Warao. An Xian and Enya returned to Warao and found a place to stay. When I asked the price, the front desk asked for 20,000. And that was for 1 day. Although An Xian doesn't care about money, the revenue from the 2 videos edited by the little tailor alone is currently in the tens of millions. But that doesn't mean he is a sucker and is willing to be slaughtered like a pig. Unhappy, very unhappy. Little pink hair. Dai Mao twitched, the signal was received. An Yu took out the pumpkin cannon. An Xian had a kind smile on his face. How much? I didn't hear you clearly, please say it again. The receptionist with a sloppy attitude was stunned, the melon seeds in her hands fell to the ground, and she quickly stood up with her hands raised. Don't kill me. Dude, is this your first time in Jureo? A man and a woman walked into the door of the BNB. He looks to be in his 20s, but his skin appears rather rough. Each of them was carrying a large travel bag and recording videos with a selfie stick in their hands. Land in Jureo Star City is very expensive. Tianjinal is one of the few places where you can stay. It's normal for the price to be higher. The man glanced at the big gun that An Yu was carrying, hesitated, and then walked over to An Xian and whispered. He is just a working serf, there is no point in killing him. Moreover, those who can book accommodation in Jureo all have connections behind them. Listen to my advice, it is better to do less than more. Ah! The woman who came in with the man screamed sharply. Seeing her boyfriend going to mediate, she decided to coax An Yu to put down the gun. But he didn't expect that as soon as he met An Yu, the muzzle of the gun was immediately pointed at him. The cold gun body emitted a faint fluorescent light, which gathered towards the muzzle and exuded the breath of death. Misunderstanding. Misunderstanding. The man smiled and waved his hand. We don't mean any other thing, really. Little Pinky, put the gun away. After calming down, I scanned the QR code and transferred 100,000 yuan through StarNet Bank. As the man said, there's no point in killing a serf, it will only cause a lot of trouble. I have to stay in Jirao for a few more days, so I'll just consider it as spending money to save trouble. After paying, he tapped the table. Room card. I'll get it for you right away. The receptionist leaned over and groped around, then after a few seconds grabbed a key and put it on the table. The first room on the left when entering the courtyard. An Xian picked up the rusty key and took a deep breath. Don't be angry, don't be angry. I'm leaving. An Yu picked up the bag at his feet and quickly caught up. The stone brick house of less than 30 square meters is in full view. 2 simple beds and a shabby wooden table. The 4th generation of spiders live together on the spider web in the corner. An Xian sat down on the bed, and the bed covered with thin bedding creaked. The anger that had just subsided rose up again. It's okay if it's a bit expensive, but at least you can make the inside look similar. MD, when we leave, we must hang this store's black-hearted boss on the street lamp. An Yu blinked, her long eyelashes fluttering. Brother, I don't see any street lights in the city. Then chop it up and apply it on Jirao Star. This is good. At the door. The man and woman paid to check in and put down their luggage, intending to say hello to An Xian. After hearing the conversation between the two people inside, I felt that it was not necessary to say hello. Just as he was about to leave quietly, An Yu glanced towards the door. Brother, there are 2 thieves at the door. Are they trying to steal our rice? After saying that, she trotted 2 steps and brought the bag of rice to the bedside. You can't buy high-quality rice, the best you can buy is 5-grain rice, and the rice inside is the one you just bought. Man and woman at the door? Slander, absolutely slander. Dude, it's me. We wanted to come over and say hello. Once discovered, it is naturally impossible to leave. The 2 of them walked in with smiles on their faces. My name is LV Zishi, she is my girlfriend Wanbei, and we are Star City travelers. It is a profession that involves traveling to various star cities and then sharing your travel experiences on the Star Network to earn money. Oh, we are still in the same industry. An Xian had guessed it as early as when they came in holding their cell phones. Come to think of it, I am also a traveler from Star City. Let's go together. Lu Zishi's heart finally settled down, as if he had met an old friend in a foreign land, and he took 2 steps forward excitedly. If Wanbei had never seen a pumpkin, she would go find An Yu to play with. Unfortunately, she had seen it before, and now she stood there, not even daring to look An Yu in the eye. Fearing that she might have a disagreement, this pretty and delicate little pink-haired girl took out a gun and shot herself. Lu Zishi was very outgoing and boasted to An Xian about his travel experiences. As a traveler in Star City, the star cities you have visited, the customs and cultures you have seen, and the dangers you have experienced are all things worth bragging about. Listening with great interest, maybe you will go there someday. An Yu took the bag to steam the rice. Compared with Lu Zishi's experience, she was more interested in Warao rice. Tianjianal BNB fully embodies the characteristics of Jirao. Modern facilities are minimal. The cash register at the front desk is probably the most advanced technology in this store. There was not even an electric rice cooker to steam rice, so one had to fetch water from the yard and then use the stove to make a fire to steam the rice. An Yu was in a dilemma, but Wanbei saw this as an opportunity to establish a good relationship with An Yu. Little sister, can I help you steam the rice? Having experienced the human trafficking incident, An Yu became wary of unprovoked kindness. She sniffed it first, and responded only after she smelled nothing bad. Okay, thank you. Sunset. A few candles provided light for the stone brick room. An Xian, An Yu, and Wanbei sat down around the shabby wooden table. The steaming of rice was almost entirely due to Wanbei. After obtaining An Xian's consent, An Yu invited her to stay for dinner. As for Lu Zishi, he was driven away by An Xian. After listening to Lu Zishi playing for a long time, he found that he was just listening to a lonely tune. Either the beauties in A Star City have good figures, or the Lolita in B Star City are super cute. Given his personality, it's a miracle that Wanbei didn't break up with him. There were 4 dishes and 1 soup on the table, all of which were simple home-cooked meals that I bought from the front desk of the B&B. The cheapest stir-fried vegetables are 888, and the more expensive stir-fried potatoes with pork slices requires you to add another 8 at the end. While eating the food, An Xian became more determined to use the black-hearted boss to die Jirao Xing. The silence lasted until the end of the meal. Wanbei took away the dirty dishes. Without outsiders around, An Xian suddenly remembered the original purpose of letting An Yu follow him. Little pink hair. An Yu rubbed her round belly. Hold head high. Try to see if you can find my eyes. Okay, I'll try. An Yu jumped off the chair. Hold your arms and take 2 deep breaths. Then he ran to the yard, circulated his star power, and sniffed carefully. After an unknown amount of time, she smelled a fragrance in one direction. It lasted only a short time before being isolated, but enough was enough. An Yu's light pink eyes suddenly brightened and her voice became cheerful. I smell it. Chapter 78. An Xian flashed to An Yu's side. I let her give it a try, and I didn't expect it would be so rewarding. Where? An Yu looked in one direction, with her 2 little hands raised in front of her body, indicating a distance that was neither too close nor too far. In that direction, about, this far. So far? Are you doing abstract art here? Seeing An Xian's puzzled expression, An Yu twirled his hair in distress and thought for a long time before coming up with a suitable example. It's about half the distance from our last place to here. After a pause, she continued. I smell a moving path, the same path we took to get here by train. Leisurely thinking. That is to say, my eyes took the train. No, it should be the person carrying my eyes who took the train from Jirao. Then can you smell where that person went? An Yu's ahog hair drooped down and he shook his head dejectedly. I don't know. I was discovered when I smelled it. Fine. An Xian rubbed her head to comfort her. He was not disappointed with the result. At least we have a clue, which is much better than knowing nothing before. Prevent people wearing glasses from becoming desperate and damaging their eyes. An Xian advised An Yu. Next time I ask you to look for it, you look for it again, don't look for it on your own, understand? No. An Yu agreed readily without asking why. Just do whatever your brother tells you to do, nothing else matters. An Xian took out his cell phone and chose to call Ling Xing between Su Mei and Ling Xing brother Xian. You remembered me. I need the list of all passengers on the Jirao and Heiduo train lines today. The list of ordinary passengers is fine, but the list of top carriages. I mean, a list of all the people. Hearing the 3 emphasized words, Ling Xing was silent for a while, then gritted his teeth and responded. No problem. It will take some time, I'll give it to you as soon as possible. Good. Late at night. Lying in bed, tossing and turning. Of course not because of the eyes. Instead, you are savoring the delicious taste of Wurao rice that lingers in your mouth. If Wurao rice is so delicious, wouldn't Jirao rice be even more delicious? For a foodie, what could be more frustrating than going to the place where a food originates and not being able to eat that food? Sit up leisurely. No. We have to find a way to get some. At the entrance of Tianjianal, Lu Zishi squatted in the corner and smoked silently. Wurao rice, as the highest quality rice available on the market, is very expensive. With his wealth, he would have to think for a long time before having a big meal. Seeing that he could have a free meal, he was driven out by An Xian. That's fine. The key point is that he was driven away by An Xian, but Wanbei was kept. The unhappy mood reached its peak in an instant. Lu Zishi had been a traveler in Star City for several years and had some understanding of Star Warriors. An Yu's ability to retract and deploy the romantic turret is obviously not something an ordinary person can do. Facing the Star Warrior, he didn't dare to say anything. There is so much to say to Wanbei. When Wanbei came back, Lu Zishi started to act sarcastic. At first Wanbei tolerated it, but then his words became more and more unpleasant. It even reached the point where it was unbearable to hear. Wanbei could no longer tolerate it. She remembered all the beauties that Lu Zi had hooked up with in various star cities. The two had a big quarrel. Lu Zishi slammed the door and walked out, squatting at the door and smoking. After finishing another cigarette, he noticed a figure walking out of the B&B. With the light from the door, I could see the face clearly. An Xian? What is he doing so late at night? Luzishi was puzzled and wanted to follow and see what was going on. But how could he possibly keep up with his speed? But I lost it in a blink of an eye. However, the person following behind him did not lose him. Just as Luzishi was wondering, he was suddenly knocked unconscious by someone from behind. The people around him cooperated tacitly and put him into a sack. Juraoshan at night is brightly lit, just like daytime. Teams of patrolling soldiers are on high alert. He hid in a secluded place for a long time. He was thinking about a very fatal question. It is not difficult to avoid these soldiers. There are also ways to avoid surveillance and drones. But the field is full of rice. What should I do if I pull it back? He has no experience in dealing with this kind of thing. At this time, a faint smell of alcohol wafted over. After a while, the smell of alcohol became stronger. An Xian frowned. Someone was approaching him. The basic omniscient vision cannot detect the figure of the person coming. It seems that he concealed his figure deliberately. But if it is deliberately concealed, why does it expose the smell of alcohol? An Xian is not naive enough to think that the other party forgot to hide because of carelessness. Are you going to try me? He muttered to himself, and suddenly increased the supply of star power to the omniscient vision. Moment. The fluctuation of star power 10 meters away was sensed. The strength of the omniscient vision continued to increase, and the fluctuations of the star power there became clearer and clearer. The other party exclaimed lightly. My highest level of concealment has been discovered, so I simply stop hiding. He put away his star power and planned to go over and formally meet this young man who was praised to the sky by Su Mei. Unexpectedly, the moment the star power was retracted, a strong sense of being peeped swept over the whole body. The other side. An Xian didn't expect that he would suddenly withhold his star power, and do it so thoroughly. In an instant, I saw through him, truly saw through him. The other party's face changed slightly, and he quickly mobilized star power to cover his body surface. The feeling of being watched faded away, and he walked up to An Xian, feeling very depressed. I'm already old, and the thought of being seen naked by a man makes me feel sick. It's all my own fault, and I have no place to vent my anger, so I can only suffer in silence. No wonder Su Mei praises you in the group every day. Every word she writes is paving the way for you to become a top free agent. You are indeed extraordinary. After hearing what he said, An Xian let down his guard. He is a member of the Freedom Forum and a top freelancer. Thinking about the aroma of the wine just now, the answer is obvious. Old drunkard. Call me the wine fairy. Oh. An Xian responded, lacking interest. This old guy is notorious in the Federation for his drinking. If someone's good wine is lost or some rare food is missing, it is most likely him who did it. Her popularity among the public is second only to Su Mei, the president of the Beauty Association. But one is good and the other is bad. The drunken immortal looked at the Jureo field. You guys also want to borrow some Jureo rice? Nonsense, why else would I be here so late at night? The drunken immortal was not annoyed by An Xian's attitude, and did not have the slightest airs of a top powerhouse. In his heart, he has placed leisure and himself on an equal footing. Although there is still a gap in their strength. But the potential for leisure is there, and he is still young, so it won't take long to catch up. If you want Jureomai, you can't come here. The drunken immortal took off the wine jug from his waist and took a long drink to moisten his throat. Do you have a solution? Certainly. The drunken immortal smiled complacently. How could he let go of such a good raw material for brewing wine, Jureo rice? I have come here almost every year since I became capable. He knew very well where the processed rice was placed. Follow me and go directly to Jureo Rice Warehouse. Chapter 79. Jureo Star City, the city center. 4 warehouses were built around the Jureo Star. The defense here is more than 1 degree higher than that of Jureoshan. It can be described as an iron wall. An Xian and Zhongxian stood in a blind spot of surveillance. The patrolling guards passed by them but ignored them. The 4 warehouses store 6 to 9 racks of rice each. The drunken immortal pointed his mouth towards the Jureo Star. How about a competition? Let's see who can get in first and get the Jureo rice. Okay. An Xian didn't refuse, but if we're competing, there should be some prizes. The drunken immortal was surprised that he actually dared to agree. Although he had never been to a rice warehouse, he had always borrowed rice on the road. But his own strength is stronger than An Xian, so why would An Xian dare to agree? Old drunkard, don't you dare to compete. I dare not. The wine fairy took a gulp of wine. You decide the bet. The fish is hooked. The other party claims to be a wine god, so of course the prize has to be wine. I want 10 of the best bottles of wine you have in stock. This. The drunken immortal looked hesitant, this was a bit too much. Don't dare. You little guy, are you addicted to provocation? The drunken immortal glared. I agree, but you have to match the stakes. The 10 best bottles of wine in my stock are all brewed with high-level distorted materials. If it were put on the market, it would be hard to find even a few billion of it. 5-star warriors, 10 bottles of wine to bet on. That's enough. Enough, definitely enough. The drunken immortal's eyes lit up. He couldn't use the quota, but he could exchange it. No one can refuse the opportunity to become a star warrior in exchange for rare brewing raw materials. So, start. Kai, wait, you, As the drunken immortal's gaze went from confusion to shock, An Xian's body glowed red and he actually turned into his appearance. Then he left the blind spot of surveillance and rushed straight to the warehouse where the Jurayamai rice was stored. FK. You have no moral principles. You are cheating. The drunken immortal became anxious. You said you could sneak in, but you just sneaked in like this? And it's against my face. Okay, let's play it this way, The drunken immortal shook the wine jug in his hand, and the wine flowed out and attached to his body. The next moment, the body melted into the wine, seeped into the ground, and moved towards the rice warehouse. Enemy attack! Enemy attack! The alarm sounded and the red light in Jureo rice warehouse flashed wildly. With the face of a drunkard, An Xian was particularly arrogant. I am the wine immortal. Why don't you retreat immediately? There was no retreat, but there were quite a few bullets coming towards him. It was just an ordinary bullet. He did not even try to dodge it. The star power condensed around his body. Under the hail of bullets, they advanced rapidly towards the Jureo rice warehouse. It's the Star Warrior. Go get someone from the Star Warrior department. The rice warehouse supervisor gave the order. Activate the rice warehouse warning facility. All-round alert has been activated in Jureo rice warehouse. There was even a cannon sticking out of a crack in the metal wall of the rice warehouse. Noticing this scene, An Xian was shocked. Are the guns all pulled out? He couldn't figure it out. No matter how good the Jureo rice is, it's just rice. Why defend like this? Most star cities, where star mines are stored, don't have such high-level defenses. Could rice be more expensive than star ore? This is crazy. Boom. A cannon fired and a shell was fired. Calmly condense the star power in the air to reduce the speed of the shells. When the shell approached, he actually caught it with his bare hands. Give it back to you. He bent his waist backward and threw the shell out with force. With the blessing of star power, it is even faster than the shooting speed. The shell hit the wall of the rice warehouse and exploded with a loud bang. The power of the explosion only left a black patch in front of it, without a single damage. This intensity is outrageous. The outer wall of the rice warehouse is comparable to the city gate of Nannan. At this time, more and more garrison troops were dispatched. Tens of thousands of people were defending in front of the rice warehouse. Under the cover of artillery shells, machine guns fired one after another, mixed with sniper bullets. I'm too lazy to complain about An Xian. I know that he came to steal the rice. If you didn't know, you would think he had attacked the city and reached the enemy headquarters. If the four walls of Nannan had had this much firepower, they could have at least held out for 2 more days. Stop at ease. The opponent's vigorous defense only aroused the stubbornness in his bones. Stopping me from entering? Don't even think about it. Me King, I'm set to go in. Now Jurayamai ranks second in his heart. Entering the rice warehouse, he became the first. An Xian Shikai Hungji, cover it with star power. Outsiders could only see him holding a beam of light in his hand, and could not tell what the contents inside were. Blood cloud shield. A deep red light shield condensed. He held the shield at ease and rushed forward. At this time, Hongji's superficial cover-up was so far-fetched that it was exposed as soon as she used her tricks. But it doesn't matter. What matters is that he covered it up. If anyone causes trouble later, just blame it on the drunken immortal. An Xian even thought of his excuse. One night, the drunken immortal got him drunk, stole Hongji and broke into the rice warehouse, which made sense. The land of Jureo. Zhang Mao was awakened by the roar of artillery fire in the city. He jumped onto the roof and looked inside. Someone attacked the rice warehouse. Zhang Mao clenched his hands like an old farmer. At this time, someone came running over and saw that he was dressed like a serf. Brother Zhang, what should we do? Should we? Zhang Mao jumped out of the room. Go back to bed. Can. Go back and sleep. Yes. The current star master of Jirao is Fan Ping. After finishing today's business and falling asleep, I received the news that the rice warehouse was attacked. He didn't even bother to put on his clothes, he just put on his coat and rushed out. While rushing towards the rice warehouse, he made a phone call. Hurry up and take the people from Xingguasi with you, something happened to me Kang. Hang up and call another one. Lead the troops into the city. Now, immediately. Underground. The drunken immortal encounters obstacles. This damn rice warehouse, is the basement also made entirely of metal. In his drunken state, his attack power is not very high. The heavy metal floor left him helpless. The drunken immortal changed his target and headed for other rice warehouses. After going around in a circle, I feel numb. Like the 4 rice granaries, the entire structure is made of high-strength alloy. That's the material for building city gates. This material is actually used to build rice granaries, 4 of them. This completely overturned Jirao's impression that the country was full of serfs and like a feudal society. Rich, very rich. The drunken immortal returned to the ground, but the scene before him made him feel confused. There was artillery fire outside, and many star warriors were using various methods. Brilliant lights shine in the dark night, and the most dazzling one is a touch of red. Their target is themselves. To be more precise, it is the piece that comes with your own skin. IFK. This guy is a lunatic. The drunken immortal felt a bitter taste in his mouth. He took a sip of wine, and the wine, which usually smelled extremely fragrant, also tasted bitter. He took out his cell phone and sent a message to the group of top free agents. Drunken immortal, you may not believe me, but I beat Jirao. President So of the Beauty Association. Pupils all over the world. One divination is worth 1,000 gold coins. The drunken immortal took a picture and uploaded it. Wine Fairy, this is a big trouble. Get ready for some stress-resistant PR. Chapter 80. Zishi, Zishi. Wanbei was a little worried because she hadn't seen Lu Zishi come back for a long time. After searching the area, I found nothing except a few cigarette butts at the door, which were the cigarettes that Lu Zishi often smoked. She ran back to Tianjianal anxiously and woke up the sleeping receptionist. Excuse me, have you seen the man who came with me? He went out about half an hour ago and hasn't come back since. In other star cities, if Lu Zishi did not return home all night, Wanbei would not worry at all. At most, I would curse him inwardly and then go back to sleep. But this is Jirao Star City, and there is nothing but fields. What can he do? You can't go to the fields to help the serfs harvest rice in the middle of the night. The receptionist yawned. I went to bed early. I don't know if anyone is out. Can I take a look at the surveillance footage? Surveillance? No, that thing is only in the fields. Wanbei was dejected. As if feeling sorry for her, the receptionist glanced around, confirmed that there was no one around, hesitated and spoke. Just pretend that this person doesn't exist and that you came here alone. Wanbei's voice suddenly rose. What do you mean? Literally. The receptionist lay down and continued to sleep, and no matter what Wanbei asked, she did not respond. Boom. The sky suddenly exploded with fire. They both looked away in panic at the same time. When had they ever seen such a scene of loud gunfire? At this time, a petite figure ran out quickly from the yard. Just when he woke up, An Yu was no longer at ease. An Xian originally planned to borrow some rice and come back, so he did not wake up An Yu who was sleeping soundly. She was awakened by the gunfire and didn't find peace, so she sniffed it immediately. In the center of the city, at the intersection of artillery fire, traces of peace were found. Little sister. Don't go out. Wanbei trotted 2 steps and found that her speed was not as fast as An Yu's. Seeing that she was about to leave the BNB, he exerted all his strength and rushed to An Yu to stop her. An Yu ignored him and walked away. Wanbei moved sideways and blocked her way again. It's dangerous outside, you can't go out. An Yu raised his eyes and looked at her, his light pink eyes full of indifference. Get out of the way. No, just listen carefully, ah. The metal bracelet glowed and suddenly broke. An Yu carried the pumpkin and pulled the trigger. At the critical moment, Wan Bei fell to the ground with weak legs, avoiding the energy bullet from the headlock. After putting away the pumpkin, An Yu didn't even look at her, rushed out of the shop and headed towards Jirao Star. Dark cellar. With a pain in the back of his head and his hands tied, Lu Zishi looked at the two people in front of him in horror. You, who are you? Why are you arresting me? I advise you to let me go quickly. I have a lot of fans on Starnet. They will definitely find me if I'm missing. Let me go. Let me go. The two men on the other side were wearing protective clothing and brought a small box. Carefully opening the box, inside was a small sealed bottle of about 100 ml of water. The water is slightly turbid, as if it had just been scooped from a muddy pond. One person picked up the bottle. Open your mouth. Lu Zishi didn't know what was in the bottle, but it definitely wasn't something good. Threats were useless, so he pleaded. Please let me go, I have money, I will give you as much money as you want. He is 27 this year, has hundreds of thousands of fans on Xinguang, and has 2 million in savings. A great life is waiting for him, he doesn't want to die. Open your mouth. The man urged impatiently. What's the use of having money? As a serf, let alone in Jirao, I don't know if I can spend the money. If their landlords discovered the funds from unknown sources, they would be beaten to death on the spot. Lu Zishi squirmed and knelt on the ground, tears streaming down his face. I don't want to die, please let me go. I have a girlfriend who is beautiful. Bang! Another person kicked him over and forcibly pried open his mouth. Pour it in, be careful, this is all we have left. Okay. 100 milliliters of water was filled very quickly. After it was all emptied, they covered Lu Zishi's mouth and nose and forced him to swallow it. Seeing that all the water had been swallowed, the two men picked up the hoe and shovel standing at the foot of the wall and stared at Lu Zishi with vigilance and expectation. After being released, Lu Zishi retched in fear, trying to spit out all the water he had drunk. I vomited a lot of things, but it was of no use. The burning sensation spreads from the inside to the outside, and the internal organs feel like they are on fire. The skin all over the body began to itch and fine bloodshot appeared. The indescribable strange feeling made him feel miserable. It's so hot. It's so itchy. It's so uncomfortable. What did you give me to drink? Lu Zishi rolled around on the ground wildly. Under the watchful eyes of the two serfs who had tied him up, his skin began to fester and emit a foul stench. Jirao Xingguo Division, a 5-man team. We received the call in the middle of the night and rushed to Jirao Rice Warehouse after an emergency assembly. Captain, there's a kid over there. A sharp-eyed team member reported. Judging from his clothes, he is not from Star City. The captain took a look, and his eyes were glued to it. Beautiful, so beautiful. Especially those light pink eyes. Catch her. Yes. The 4 team members set off together. The moment they made a move, An Yu turned around and pulled out his gun. The energy of the pumpkin gathered and golden bullets shot out. Thinking they were facing an ordinary little girl, the 4 defenseless people were shot dead by 3 of them in an instant. Because of his weak strength, the last person to fall became the only survivor. But he was almost dead, as several bullets penetrated his vital points under the dense bullet net. An Yu held a gun and was alert, but he did not relax. The biggest source of the stench she smelled was the captain, who didn't move. The captain was surprised to see 4 team members being eliminated in an instant. It's just surprise. There was no sadness at all for the death of his men. The 4 men were all serfs, and by chance they became the lowest level star warriors and entered the Star Marshal Division. And he is the landlord and the master of the slaves. Even if there is a regulation that entering the Star Marshal Division can eliminate slavery, what does it matter? Slavery is deeply rooted in Jirao, and the prejudice in people's hearts is as big as a mountain. The class system of landlords and serfs is unbreakable. In the captain's mind, the 4 men will always be serfs. Which landlord would be sad because a slave died? At least he won't. The captain looked at An Yu, his excitement evident in his eyes. Such beautiful eyes, and he's also a star warrior. We've found a treasure, we've found a treasure. He approached An Yu. An Yu pulled the trigger and bullets poured out like a rainstorm. The stench grew stronger, and the sense of crisis grew more intense. The passive trigger of the romantic turret consumes the same amount of energy as before, but the power has more than doubled. The captain with D-level strength either hit or carried the attack, closing the distance with An Xian. It is indeed remarkable that he has such strength at such a young age, but in the face of absolute strength, everything is in vain. An Xian looked calm as he retreated while methodically adjusting the muzzle of his gun. At the same time, the tip of his nose kept moving, looking for an opportunity to kill with one blow. Based on strength alone, she might not be his opponent. But she couldn't bear An Xian's trick. Back then, with Hong Ji's help, he was able to cut through a wisp of mist from the A-level dark clouds. You can use the romantic turret to shoot the captain here today. Chapter 81. Jiraiya Rice Warehouse. An Xian was worried. Was the commotion too loud? He vaguely remembered. At first, it was because I couldn't sleep and wanted to make some Jiraiya rice to eat. Why do I feel like I'm going to attack Jiraiya alone now? So what went wrong? An Xian moved forward slowly and mechanically, thinking about this question in his mind. In the end, he blamed the cause on the Jiraiya defenders. A broken rice warehouse was guarded with all one's might, even mobilizing the entire city's forces. If we had just let him go in, pack 2 bags of rice and leave, why would there be so much trouble? Yes, that's right, it's all the fault of the Jiraiya defenders. More and more people gathered. Star-Lord Fan Ping and the city wall defenders led by the military leader are already in place. The endless supply of ammunition consumed the star power that safely supported the blood mist shield. I am thinking about how this should end. A whiff of wine aroma wafted over, and then the voice of the wine fairy sounded in my ears. Kid! Stop while you can before any casualties are caused. It's just some Jiraiya rice, it's not necessary, it's really not necessary. At worst, I can carry 2 bags and deliver them to you in person some other day. The only thing he feels thankful for right now is that he defended safely throughout the game and did not kill a lot of people. But damn, why is it Laozi's face? Grass. He cursed angrily, pressed his throbbing temple, and tried to slow down his voice. The most important thing right now is to coax this little ancestor back. The drunken immortal's voice continued to sound hurriedly but without any blame. Come back soon, otherwise if there are casualties, it will be difficult for the Forum to explain to the Federation. Don't worry, when the federal government holds you accountable, I will take full responsibility for this. An Xian, who was originally planning to leave, became even more determined to leave after hearing what the drunken immortal said. Just at this moment, a brilliant golden light cut through the darkness and shot from the outside. The power of the energy beam almost dissipated by the time it reached An Xian. His face suddenly turned gloomy. Pumpkin, little pink. Half a minute ago, in the land of Ba Rao, An Xian fought and retreated and arrived here. The captain was also cautious, and did not dare to push the enemy too hard before he had a firm grasp of the pumpkin cannon. After a long time, he felt that he had almost understood it. The pumpkin is just a special firearm that converts star power into bullets, and it does not pose much threat to itself. So he planned to take down An Xian in one fell swoop. He approached to within 5 meters of An Xian, very smoothly, without any obstacles. The captain became more certain of his guess. That big gun is nothing but that. It was at this time. The front end of the pumpkin that An Xian was carrying fell off, showing a form he had never seen before. It would be extremely dangerous to rashly allow an enemy who is strong enough to take you down in an instant to get close to you. At this moment, An Xian's sense of crisis reached its peak. Star power and mental power are injected into the pumpkin without regard for the consequences. In the process of converging towards the muzzle, it is constantly amplified by the pumpkin itself. A brilliant golden light suddenly shot out. The power of the weapon that pierced the captain's heart remained undiminished as it continued to fly towards Jiraiya Star. After An Xian delivered this attack, he fell to the ground exhausted and didn't even have the strength to retract the pumpkin. She gasped for breath, seizing every second to recover. But things don't always go as planned. A stench that was not as strong as the dark clouds but much stronger than the captain's came over. It's amazing. It's really amazing. A voice that didn't sound young came from far away. A woman picked up the pumpkin with one hand and picked up An Xian with the other. Little sister, Auntie is the Jiraiya Xingyu division, headed by Tan Ji. You can call me Auntie Tan and go play with me, okay? 2 flowers bloom, each showing its own beauty. It is less than 300 meters away from the nearest rice warehouse. The flying shot from pumpkin strengthened his resolve to retreat peacefully. But here we are. Calculate the distance, mobilize the omniscient vision, and move all vision to the front. He immediately increased the supply of star power, and with his omniscient vision, he could see some of the scenes inside through the iron wall of the rice warehouse. No wonder. An Xian was slightly stunned, then withdrew his omniscience and retreated. There are obstacles in moving forward, but it is much easier to retreat. No one was chasing him. Whether it is the garrison or the Star Martial Arts Division, their only goal is to guard the rice warehouse. If it were before, An Xian would be confused, but now that he knows what is inside, he is no longer confused. The fairy in wine emits a wisp of wine aroma, guiding An Xian in his direction. At the beginning, he was as relaxed as he wished, but halfway through, he stopped. A middle-aged woman broke into the edge of the omniscient vision. She is not important. What is important is that she is holding a pink-haired loli in her hand. Carry the knife leisurely. It seems like someone is reluctant to let me go. The drunken immortal's expression changed slightly, and he didn't have time to dissuade him. An Xian's figure flashed continuously and rushed towards Tanji. On the other hand, when Tanji arrived, the artillery fire stopped and he did not see the so-called people attacking the rice warehouse. I was just about to ask Star Lord Fan Ping. Then I saw him suddenly become nervous and give a warning. Watch out behind you. A streak of red light flashed by. Tanji rushed forward immediately and narrowly avoided the fatal knife. She held Anu and Nangua in her arms, rolled forward, and a knife scar deep enough to see the bone appeared on her back. Who? The pain caused beads of sweat to form on her pale face. Fan Ping and military commander Shi Figuang immediately protected Tanji. Old drunkard? You were the one who broke into the rice warehouse just now. Fan Ping stared at An Xian's face with a puzzled tone. The appearance of the wine fairy is no secret. During the transportation of Jirao rice, it was intercepted by the drunken immortal several times. As the Star Lord of Jirao Star City, he would naturally recognize this face. The artillery fire and star power were too bright just now, and there was also the blood shield in front. Due to the layers of obstruction, he could not see the face of the enemy. It wasn't until now that I could see it clearly. It's me. He stood leisurely with his hands behind his back, looking proud. This scene caught the eyes of the owner who was hiding in the corner, and he was so angry that his teeth itched. Fan Ping frowned. Isn't it inappropriate for you to break into my Jirao rice warehouse at night? An Xian's eyes widened so wide that his fake eyeballs almost fell out. I am the wine immortal. Why should I explain to others what I have done in my life? True wine immortal, 6 Fan Ping spoke in a bad tone. Could it be that the Freedom Forum is ready to go to war with the Federation? No. No. The voice of the drunken immortal exploded wildly in An Xian's ears. Leisure does not mean being ignorant of the overall situation. Don't threaten me with this. He pointed at Anu. Give her to me, I'm leaving now. Good. No. He's fake. Tanji screamed after being stabbed. Fan Ping glared at her. Are you the only one who is smart? I can't tell it's fake. If he really was the immortal of wine, he would have broken into the rice warehouse just now. Even so, it proves that the other party is extraordinary. It's better to have less trouble than more. It's just a little girl. Just give it to him. Tanji seemed to have guessed what Fan Ping was thinking and whispered a few words into his ear. Fan Ping looked at Anu, staring intently into her eyes. After a long time, he looked at An Xian again, and his attitude suddenly changed. Who are you? You impersonated the top free man Zhu Zhongxian and tried to start a war between the Federation and the Freedom Forum. You deserve to die. Move your 5 fingers freely and hold the red ring tightly. If it can't be resolved peacefully, then take action. There are only 3 B-level ones, and their combat power is not as good as that of the Judgment Squad. It won't take much effort to take them down. Razor Red Princess. The Crimson Crescent slashed towards Shi Figuang who was closest to him. Shi Figuang hurriedly mobilized his star power to resist. But in front of this attack, it is as fragile as thin paper. The Crimson Crescent destroyed his defenses and then tore his body apart. The whole process took less than 10 seconds. The first move is a killing move. Chapter 82. Shi Figuang is dead. Fan Ping and Tanji didn't react at all. That's Jirao's military commander. Is it so easy to be killed? There are not many military leaders in the Federation who died in such a miserable way. Fan Ping and the other 2 were extremely frightened. Seeing An Xian facing him, Tanji immediately used Anu to block him. Don't move. If you move again I'll kill her. Fan Ping was stunned for a moment, then suddenly reacted. You left just now, and now you come back, is it because of her? With the trump card in hand, the two people's panicked hearts were slightly calmed. So what? Do you dare to touch her? An Xian took off his disguise, revealing his true face and undisguised sarcasm. How many lives do you have? How dare you commit suicide like this? An Xian took the initiative to reveal his identity. An Yu, who had kept his head down and remained silent, not wanting to become a hostage to An Xian, said guiltily. Brother, I'm so useless in holding you back. Some people are so old and shamelessly bully the weak. I don't blame you. After An Xian finished speaking, he suddenly noticed that An Yu winked at Nangua, and then he blinked quickly. This little girl. On the other side, Tanji, whose age was pointed out, gritted his teeth. You. An Xian raised his eyebrows. Why, you must be 2 years older than me. You are not even strong enough for me to chop you down with one blow, so you can only bully a 10-year-old kid. You are really a disgrace to your ancestors. Tanji's face turned pale and blue. An Xian continued to taunt him. If I were you, at my age and being beaten by a youngster, I would have jumped into the sea of radiation and committed suicide long ago. You still have the nerve to live, your skin is really thick, I'm afraid even an S-class mutant can't bite through it. Shut up. Tanji can't do anything to An Xian, but An Yu is in her hands. Just when he was planning to do something to An Yu and let An Xian know who holds the initiative, the pumpkin cannon in his hand suddenly disappeared. She was stunned for a moment. Where's the gun in your hand? How come such a big gun is gone? Careful! Fan Ping yelled and pulled her back. An Yu, who had recovered a little, transformed the pumpkin into a bracelet and took it back, then in the blink of an eye, transformed it into a gun. It was unrealistic to raise the gun and shoot while being held by Tanji. But she didn't plan to shoot. An Yu grabbed the pumpkin and smashed it down hard. The huge gun body hit Tanji's toes, breaking several of them. In severe pain, she subconsciously let go of her hand to protect her foot. An Yu supported the pumpkin and landed steadily, taking the opportunity to run towards An Xian. Fan Ping reacted quickly, ignoring Tanji and rushing towards An Yu at explosive speed. This pink-haired little girl can't be let go. She's a life-saving talisman. Unfortunately, An Xian, who was stronger and had already reached a tacit understanding with An Yu, reacted faster. Hongji held the knife low, with the tip pointing upwards. It seemed like a leisurely stroll, and he arrived beside Fan Ping in an instant. A light upper stab. The tip of the knife pierced into Fan Ping's abdomen and then came out from the upper back. Well, Fan Ping's body froze, with blood oozing from the corner of his mouth. Seeing that the situation was hopeless, Tanji fled with extraordinary decisiveness. Gun. An Yu handed over the pumpkin, and An Xian grabbed it with one hand. The all-seeing vision locks onto the target and builds the trajectory. The next moment, 4 bullets were fired. Accurately shatter the connection points between Tanji's limbs and the main body. Thump! Tanji lost control of his limbs and fell to the ground. An Xian threw the pumpkin to An Yu. Go and drag her here. Good. The pumpkin turned into a bracelet, and An Yu responded happily, skipping over. He helped Tanji turn over, making sure he was facing the ground, then grabbed one of his legs and dragged him towards An Xian. Being pulled suddenly, Tanji did not prepare himself immediately. A layer of skin was immediately rubbed off his face, leaving a bloodline on the ground. Sensing Tanji's condition, An Xian gave An Yu a thumbs up. That's great. An Yu's eyebrows were curved, his hair was swaying, and he looked very happy. Boy, are you venting your anger? The drunken immortal came and it would be good enough to kill a military leader. But if An Xian killed the Star Lord as well, things would become irreversible. Fan Ping and Tanji, who looked as pale as death, began to feel hopeful when they saw the drunken immortal. This is the real thing. It's from the Freedom Forum. He is also from the Freedom Forum. The drunken immortal nodded. Yes. Fan Ping gained confidence and no longer felt the pain from the knife stuck in his body. The Freedom Forum has a delicate relationship with the Federation. In his opinion, An Xian is a young man who doesn't know the rules. But Zhu Zhongxian is different. As a top freeman, he has to consider the entire Free Forum. Jureo Star City is the Federation's rice warehouse, supporting nearly half of the Federation's population. What do you, the Freedom Forum, want to do by attacking Jureo? The drunken immortal has a headache. What do you want to do? I said that this kid and I just wanted to borrow some rice to eat. I don't know if you believe it or not. He was still organizing his words, turning Hongji leisurely, and spoke softly. Guess why I dare to show my face? Hongji rotated 90 degrees inside her body, pulling a nerve. Fan Ping took a few deep breaths to suppress the severe pain. An Xian held Hongji and moved it towards his heart little by little. Because I don't worry about the consequences at all. Hongji's sharp blade easily cut through his ribs. The breath of death lingered, and Fan Ping was shaking like a sieve. But An Xian's next sentence really made him feel that he was doomed. I want to say, I know what is in the so-called Jureo rice warehouse, I don't know how you should deal with it. Swish! Fan Ping and Tanji can't do it, her faces covered in blood. In short, both of them felt despair at the same time, and the Federation would not save them from their despair. Fan Ping forced a smile. You, what are you talking about? The rice warehouse is filled with, definitely rice, yes, it must be rice. Oh! With the force of her wrist, Hongji cut his heart in half. Whether it is rice or not, I can go and see for myself, but you won't be able to see it. After dealing with Fan Ping, An Xian turned his attention to Tanji. Feeling Tanji's fear, An Xian smiled slightly. I won't kill you. After that, he destroyed her vocal cords and blocked her star power. Little pink hair. Arrive. Go and drag her away. If she's still alive after 1,000 meters, then leave her alone. Good. A clean and concise response, extremely joyful. It was this bad woman who almost made me a burden to my brother. Damn it! Damn it! He deserves death. An Yu turned Tanji over, then dragged him and started running. After running only 100 meters, without the protection of star power, the flesh and blood on Tanji's face almost disappeared. The drunken immortal smiled bitterly. This is trouble. Trouble? No, not at all. An Xian turned around and faced the silent army and the people of the Star Marshal Division. Old drunkard, let's go. Once the rice warehouse is opened, the Federation will be in trouble. He stepped forward with a knife in hand, and the star power carried the sound along with it. I'll give you one chance. Lay down your weapons, get out of the way, and live. Otherwise, die. As soon as these words were spoken, there was chaos. Someone shouted. Kill them. Revenge for the Star Lord, the Military Lord, and the Chief. Jirao doesn't welcome you. Get out of Jureo. Get out of Jureo. Smile leisurely, with a melodious tone. Look, let's go. The Red Princess is glowing, and star power is accumulating. At this time, the drunken immortal stopped him with a serious look on his face. Are you sure there's something else in the rice warehouse that the Federation won't pursue? Otherwise, if we touch them here, we can declare war on the Federation on behalf of the Freedom Forum. Of course, I'm not crazy. I can live a good life. Why do I have to be on a federal wanted list? The drunken immortal's mouth twitched. If you're not crazy, then I am. After hesitating for a while, he gritted his teeth. Okay, Laozi will go crazy with you for once. The wine fairy released star power, and the air was filled with a strong smell of wine. Drunk today. The faint smell of alcohol penetrated into the bodies of all the enemies. In an instant, they lost control of their bodies and their brains became confused, as if they were drunk. The noisy shouting disappeared. The drunken immortal did not take their lives, which was considered a way out. An Xian exclaimed in amazement, he is indeed a top libero, his efficiency is so high. If it were me, I would have to kill the whole movie. Let's go. The two walked towards the rice warehouse, and Hongji slashed 3 times with her sword. The door of the rice warehouse shattered with a loud bang. The drunken immortal looked around, his eyes widened, and he was deeply shocked. All I saw was the most high-grade Jureo rice, piled up randomly in the corner. In the huge rice warehouse, glass jars are densely packed on metal racks. It was filled with nutrient solution, and soaked with deformed organs. This is not a Jureo rice warehouse at all. It is clearly a storage place for deformed organs. I had to write several hundred more words just to avoid interrupting at the key point. It was so difficult. Chapter 83. It's done. It's done. Brother, we are going to make it. Down in the cellar, the two were ecstatic. Quick! Pack it up and send it over. Wangda excitedly ran to Luzishi and slid his calloused hands across his skin. Luzishi, who was in a coma, had no idea what he had become. From the neck down, the previously ulcerated skin healed, and the new skin was covered with layers of fine fish scales. Wang Da's eyes sparkled and his movements were gentle, as if he was caressing a rare treasure. The water they gave Lu Zishi was not some high-end medicine. Instead, they spent a lot of money to buy radioactive mud and water from special channels on the wasteland. The purpose is to create artificial semi-deformed species. In Jirao, this is a very routine operation, and it can even be said to be a well-known secret. Just like gambling, flower farmers share the purchase of radiated water. If you can produce some semi-deformed seeds and send them to the Jirao rice warehouse, you can exchange them for a large amount of agricultural points and make a lot of money. If a mutant is produced, it has to be killed, and the farmer's efforts are wasted and he has to consider himself unlucky. They used 1 year's agricultural points to buy 30 units of radioactive water, and finally the last unit was ready. Lu Zishi has become a semi-deformed being, with complete skin deformation, which is definitely worth a lot of money. This skin is equivalent to working in the fields for 5 years. Jirao Rice Warehouse. The drunken immortal's eyes swept across the metal racks. Left palm, left hand bones, left thumb, skin. Right palm, liver, spleen, left eye. Each body part and internal organ is classified and arranged in an orderly manner. Each glass jar is labeled with its owner's age, gender, strength, as well as the time of stripping, selling price and other relevant information. Some special ones are more expensive. The drunken immortal saw a pair of distorted sea blue eyes. Its owner is a 15-year-old girl, not a star warrior, but just an ordinary person. The price tag was 10 times higher than that of normal colored pupils, reaching a whopping 1 million federal coins. Ordinary star ores of the same quality are not as expensive as this pair of eyes. You knew that a long time ago. The drunken immortal spoke in a heavy tone. The deformed organs in just one warehouse were counted in the hundreds of thousands. Each organ represents a human life, and there are 4 more in the same warehouse. Moreover, he had seen along the way that all organs were removed within 1 year. What about those that are more than a year old? Of course they are sold. It is conceivable how terrifying the amount of outflow has been since the position was established. Federal Rice Granary, what a great federal rice granary! An Xian, who was following the drunken immortal unconsciously and was thinking about something, heard his question in a casual tone. Not too long ago, that's when you said you would deliver Jirao rice to my door and persuade me to leave. Why didn't you say it then? Why do you want to say it? An Xian asked curiously. Do you think that Jirao Star City can handle such a big plate? You think too highly of those 3 B-level scum. The drunken immortal was silent. He is relaxed and confident. The old drunkard entered the system at the same time as him, but he is definitely not doing as well as him. Not sensible and too low in awareness. If it were so Mei, she would definitely not ask such a question. If that old woman hadn't caught the little pink hair, I wouldn't have bothered to care. Who knows how much trouble would have been later. An Xian shook Hongji lightly, made a knife flower, and walked out. Now that things have come to this and the trouble has been caused, he doesn't mind making it a bigger deal. Bangkai. Guanyin blooms, flowers, cough comes again. Bangkai. Canon Kai, Hongji Kai. The strange and vast star power shocked the silent drunken immortal. The sense of crisis that could threaten his own life caused his body to react subconsciously. The wine gourd opened, the mist of wine rose, and it entered a state of alert. The body deployed defensive measures in an instant, and the brain only came back to its senses belatedly. Sensing the movement behind him, An Xian stopped and turned around, hiding his body under Hongji's palms. What are you doing? The drunken immortal was a little embarrassed and didn't know how to answer. You can't say that you suddenly went big and scared me. If that's the case, how can I keep my dignity as a wine fairy? How can I survive in the future? After hesitating for a moment, he opened his mouth and took a breath, swallowing the thick alcohol smell surrounding his body into his stomach, and burped. I'm thirsty, moisten my throat. Neuropathy. An Xian labeled the drunken immortal as someone who had ruined his brain due to drinking. He immediately walked to the nearest iron wall and stabbed forward with a knife. Star power is continuously injected, and Hongji's Bangkai ability takes effect. The bombardment of this artillery shell could only leave a black mark. The warehouse, which could be called an iron fortress, began to rapidly disintegrate and melt. Seeing this, the drunken immortal opened his mouth and then closed it tightly again. Maybe it would be better if this matter became a big deal. Otherwise, as soon as they leave, someone might suppress them. 3 more people were transferred to serve as Star Lord, Military Lord and Chief Officer to keep Jiraiya Star City under tight control, and Jiraiya Rice Warehouse continued to operate as usual. If An Xian knew what he was thinking, he would definitely tell him that he was overthinking. An Xian didn't care at all about what happened to the Jiraiya Rice Warehouse or whether it would exist in the future. He did this purely for 2 reasons. First, I just want to watch the fun. Since I've already picked everything here, I might as well pick it all out. Second, it concerns the eyes. An Xian had long speculated that the lost eyes were most likely malformed organs. If it was just a normal pupil, it would be impossible for Red Hand and Red Princess Bankai to be unable to recover. This so-called Jiraiya Rice Warehouse happens to be a warehouse for deformed organs. The person who carried his eyes happened to leave Jiraiya. How can there be so many coincidences? If you say there is no connection, even a fool won't believe it. Consider also that there were no deformed organs stored in the rice warehouse for more than a year. And the peaceful eyes have been lost for 2.5 years. From this we can draw a conclusion. That person has only 2 identities. Related to the mastermind behind the scenes, or a long-term customer of Mikang. An Xian suddenly felt a little regretful about killing Fan Ping. To be more precise, I regretted killing him so early. We should examine it carefully, maybe we can find something out. But the person is already dead, there is no point in regretting. Safety accelerated the disintegration of the outer wall of the rice warehouse. Expose what's here and alert the enemy. Wait until Ling Xing investigates the passenger list of that train. Then ask him to closely monitor the movements of suspicious targets. If anyone makes the slightest unusual movement, they can follow the clues and find them directly. The warehouse was mostly gone. A patch of floorboards cracked in the corner. An Xian stopped and locked onto that position at the same time as Zhang Xian. Light emerged from beneath the cracked floor. Due to the melting of Hongji, the circuit was damaged, and the warehouse that fell into darkness was illuminated again. Through his omniscient vision, An Xian discovered that it was 2 serfs with rice ears tattooed behind their ears, carrying sacks and climbing up with difficulty. "Brother, didn't we put it down there before and ring the bell and someone would come down to receive it? How should I know? If no one comes down, we can go up. But, will anything go wrong if we go up there? I can't care about that. I have to hand the person over to them for registration, otherwise my work will be in vain." Chapter 84. The Wang brothers carried bags filled with Luzishi. He was carried from underground to Jiraiya Rice Warehouse through a cargo passage made of the same material as the rice warehouse. Wang was the first to come out, looked around, and first saw rows of metal racks. Then several guards who were drunk and fell unconscious came into view. Because of the metal frame blocking the view, An Xian and Zhang Xian could not be seen. But he looked up at the starry night sky and fell into deep thought. In the back, Wang De saw that Wang did not move and could not help but urge him. "What are you doing? Come on up quickly. Brother, have we taken the wrong path? Why is this rice warehouse empty? Lokong? Are you presbyopic? Jiraiya Rice Warehouse is the landmark building of Jiraiya. From the time he was born till now, Wang De had never seen the roof of Jiraiya Rice Barn open to reveal the air. "This thing is heavy, don't waste time, get on it." Wang responded and continued to move forward. After only 2 steps, he stopped again. Wang De got angry and was furious. "What's wrong with you? Can you do it? Big brother, there's someone." "Bullshit. Why are we here if no one is here?" But he's holding, Before he could finish his words, his body was cut into pieces. The boiling blood and freshly exposed internal organs splashed all over Wang Da's face. In the gap, Wang upper body fell. Watching a familiar face flash by, Wang's mind suddenly went blank. Dead. At this time, Wang lower body was picked up and thrown aside. A hand reached down, grabbed the sack and pulled it up. After putting the sack down, the hand reached down again. "Do you need help?" Wang De raised his head and saw the face of a young boy. The boy's tightly closed eyes were slightly sunken, his facial features were 3-dimensional and gentle, and the corners of his mouth had a gentle smile. He looks very ordinary at first glance, but one instinctively feels that he is a simple, kind-hearted person. Wang De forgot about Wang death for a moment and couldn't help but smile. "Thanks." He held An Xian's hand and used it to move upwards. However, as soon as he came up, Hong Ji came and chopped him down. Until his death, there was still a smile on his face. He shook off the bloodline on Hong Ji peacefully, and used his star power to remove the dust on his palms. The drunken immortal came over and saw 2 severed corpses. You killed them. Ah, help him up and charge a small fee, like 2 lives, that's reasonable. The drunken immortal was silent for a moment and then spoke. I mean, you kill them without asking them what they are here for. What else could it be? An Xian pointed at the sacks and continued to dismantle the warehouse. The drunken immortal opened the sack and saw the naked Lu Zishi. That fish scale-like skin is extremely eye-catching. Did they capture the half-deformed creatures and send them here? Caught? No no no. When An Xian was leaving the BNB, he found Lu Zishi and sensed that he had been knocked unconscious and taken away. How much time has passed since then? Even if a person is thrown into the wasteland, the deformation will not be completed so quickly. The answer is obvious. He was fine an hour ago. These 2 must have given him something to eat or drink. He is a man-made half-deformed creature. Upon hearing this, the drunken immortal felt a sinking feeling in his heart. Both serfs dared to artificially create half-deformed species and transport them to the Jirao rice warehouse. I'm afraid this is already an open secret. All the serfs, including those who did not participate, remained silent. The entire Jirao Star City, from top to bottom, is rotten. Brother! Brother! The first warehouse was completely melted. Anu came running over happily. Her aho mango was blown back, her long pink hair fluttered in the wind, and her white dress with flowers made her look very cute. Of course, it would be even cuter if we ignored the half-leg in her hand. Walked leisurely towards the second warehouse. Have you run enough 1,000 meters? Anu suddenly wilted. I miscounted when I reached 543 meters. Then I started counting from the beginning, but I was wrong again at 700 meters. The third time I was running, she broke. The second warehouse began to collapse under Hong Ji. Anxiety and casual comfort. It's okay. I'll just use this as a learning experience. I'll go back and study math well, and I'll be able to count correctly next time. Good. The drunken immortal wanted to say something but stopped himself. Is this what you do when you study mathematics? An Xian, it's not good to teach children like this, right? You have children. This, no. Then what are you talking about? You haven't taught a child before, so what right do you have to say that I'm not good? After getting familiar with the route, the second warehouse was quickly destroyed. An Xian retorted back with confidence. Look how happy the little pink-haired girl is. Isn't that the best proof that I'm a good teacher? Is that so? Of course, I'm an experienced person. If you have children in the future, they will definitely become successful if you teach them like I do. The drunken immortal scratched his head as he watched Anu crawl into the Jirao rice pile and smell the rice fragrance with great joy. Looks like, quite happy. 10 minutes later. The 4 huge Jirao rice granaries were completely destroyed due to An Xian's reckless consumption. I noticed that Zhu Zhongxian and Anu, the old and the young, were playing together. An Xian did not disturb her. He put away Hong Ji and walked straight towards Jirao Star. As the saying goes, now we are here. When destroying the rice warehouse, he deliberately increased the consumption, so that not only the rice warehouse but also a layer of the ground was shaved off. The purpose is to drain the external star power in order to accommodate the Jirao star power and take away some of the star's authority. From their exposed hemispherical appearance, it is difficult to distinguish Jirao star from Nanan star. The same smooth and dust-free appearance, made of exactly the same material. An Xian placed his palm on Zhu Rao star, madly absorbing its power. The drunken immortal glanced at An Xian and continued to play the rice pile battle with Anu. I have spent my whole life drinking and wasting my time. Suddenly I felt the so-called family happiness. In layman's terms, empty, lonely, and missing someone. I want to find a companion and have a baby to play with. The mind is integrated into Jirao star and a connection is established with the star. The warmth of Jirao star is different from that of Nanan star. Only by going in can you experience it firsthand. After all, they are all meat, and different people feel different about it. What's more, it is such a mysterious star. The only thing in common is comfort. The ultimate comfort that makes you want to sink into it forever. Take a breath of peace. After successfully gaining some power, he immediately broke away and turned to simply absorbing star power. He was worried that if he stayed in this state for too long, he would become addicted and intoxicated and unwilling to return to reality. This damn thing can be called a spiritual bird tablet. Complained secretly. After obtaining some of the authority of Jiraiya star, he can directly absorb the original star power. The speed of star power recovery has increased by more than 1 degree. Feeling the density of star power increasing with each second, the drunken immortal looked over again. What did this kid do? So fast all of a sudden. On the other side, An Xian suddenly felt something and began to speculate. Little pink hair, come here. An Yu crawled out from the rice pile and ran towards An Xian. After she stood still, An Xian pressed down her ahog with one hand and placed it on the top of An Yu's head. He then transferred the original star power, let it circulate in An Yu's body for a circle, and then let go. The stubborn ahog bounced up. An Yu blinked his eyes, and his body absorbed the star power on its own. Chapter 85. The drunken immortal was extremely shocked. He noticed that An Yu's speed of absorbing star power was more than 10 times faster than before. An Yu was only in F grade, and Jiraiya was her away game. In Jiraiya, the speed of recovering star power was suppressed to the extreme. But I don't know what that boy did to make her the home star warrior of Jiraiya. The drunken immortal looked solemn and decided to keep quiet if he found out later and never expose it. Home and away mechanism. This makes many star warriors unwilling to go to other star cities. Even for him who is at the peak of S level, his recovery speed will be suppressed by 10% when he is away in Star City. For top powerhouses, even 0.1% is a gap that cannot be ignored. That's exactly why the star warriors of each star city will defend their own city and only serve the star martial arts department of their city. This is an important reason why the Federation is a federation rather than an empire or a country. If the restrictions on home and away games for star warriors are lifted, there will definitely be a large number of star warriors flocking to the prosperous star city. A powerful star city will become even more powerful, and a weak star city will be defeated without any resistance when facing the attack of star beasts if it loses its star warriors. The consequences are unimaginable. It really works. Leisurely whispering. The home and away games are determined by the stars. He possesses the authority of the stars and can theoretically operate on this basis. He had another bold idea. It seems that the star-favored ones are also determined by the stars. I wonder if I can choose the star-favored ones. An Xian stroked his chin. The more he thought about it, the more likely it seemed. One day, I'll kill one and try. Before I knew it, the star power was replenished and recovery was complete. He was always paying attention to his drunkenness, and his stomach was full of sourness. This recovery speed is faster than his, and not just a little bit faster. On the road, A-level star warriors are far better than S-level ones in this regard. Where is justice? Where is fairness? Don't pretend to be at ease. You must be Jiraiya Xing's biological son. The drunken immortal complained for a long time, then suppressed his anger and walked over. The complaints that need to be made have been made, and the necessary reminders must also be given. After listening to Zhu Zongxian's analysis, he switched the pros and cons of home and away games for the Star Warriors. An Xian expressed his gratitude. No matter what, it's for your own good. I'll pay attention. This is over. It's already the middle of the night and time to go back to sleep. Say goodbye peacefully. The drunken immortal stopped him and hesitated for a long time without saying anything. No, you are a grown man, can you please stop imitating a little girl? An Xian was completely speechless. The little pink-haired girl is happier than you. An Xian's exclusive supporting role will never be absent. The drunken immortal chuckled, with a hint of flattery in his eyes. I want to ask, can I also experience the feeling of transforming from a visiting star warrior to a home star warrior? After the words fell, he hurriedly added. I'm just saying it. If it's inconvenient, forget it. That's it. Why don't you just say it straight? You have to disgust me. An Xian curled his lips, drew out the original star power, and poured it into the body of the fairy in the wine. It takes less than a second to transform An Yu. The transformation into the drunken immortal took a full minute to complete. The whole process is not difficult. It is to leave the mark of Jiraiya star in his body. Let Jiraiya Xing feel that he is his own child. When you're done, go back to sleep. An Xian withdrew his hand, Hongji handed it to An Yu and picked her up. He grabbed another bag of rice, patted his butt and left. Only the drunken immortal was left, immersed in shock. Return to the field fun. I found Wanbei pacing in the yard. An Xian kindly reminds me. Your boyfriend is in Jirao rice warehouse. Ah? Ah. Wanbei was stunned for a moment after searching in vain. Thank you. Thank you. Just as she ran out, An Xian's voice full of evil humor came. But he's half deformed, with fish scales all over his body. He might even explode if he's not careful. Wanbei stopped and her anxious look slowly dissipated. It seems, I don't want to find him that much anymore. I held back and took out my phone to record a video titled Humanity Swinging Between Love and Distortion. Carry An Yu into the room and sleep. In the courtyard, Wanbei was silent for a long time. Scenes from the past came to mind. All of Liu Zixi's shortcomings and the scenes of him hooking up with other women were magnified infinitely. She took a few deep breaths, quietly went back to her room to pack her luggage, and rushed to the train station overnight. The front desk clerk was right, just treat yourself as if you were alone. Half-deformed species are not allowed to enter the city, so what can be done even if Liu Zixi is found? Moreover, when Wanbei thought of the scene described by An Xian, where the fish scales were all over the body and might even explode, she felt nauseous physiologically. This time when she returns, she doesn't plan to continue being a Star City traveler. The savings she and Liu Zixi had accumulated over the years were enough for her to live on for the rest of her life. The world is too dangerous for an ordinary person like her to venture into at will. People. The two light words dissipated with the wind, and finally the fields returned to tranquility. The land of Jirao. At dawn, the two walked into Zhang Mao's home. Zhang Mao opened his eyes instantly, grabbed the sickle hidden under the quilt, and attacked the intruder. Anyone who comes uninvited is definitely not a good guest. The two intruders dodged hastily but did not fight back. Don't do it. We are from the Welcoming Light Council. The sickle tore through the wall and stopped. Zhang Mao looked at the two of them and did not continue to attack, nor did he retract his sickle. Shen Zhu bowed slightly, showing his goodwill. Hello, I'm Assistant Shen from Yingguang Council, his name is Zheng Hu. You are from the Yingguang Council. What do you want from a serf like me? Being willing to talk is a good thing. Shen Zhu smiled confidently and uttered two words. Uprising. Zhang Mao narrowed his eyes slightly, unable to see what he was thinking. Shen Zhu waited for Zhang Mao's answer, feeling confident of victory. At this moment, Zheng Hu said to Shen Zhu. You're going to make them rebel as soon as you show up. Only a fool would agree to that. Shen Zhu's confident smile froze. Zhang Mao was not in a much better situation. It was not right for him to agree, nor was it right for him to refuse. You must be the traitor who sneaked in from Ji. Shen Zhu wanted to strangle Zheng Hu to death. You're always contradicting me. This time when I go back, I will definitely ask my superiors to change my partner. Last time in Nan'an, the time before that in Hengdu, the time before that in, you said that all the time. Shen Zhu pointed at Zheng Hu, who was counting on his fingers, and was so angry that he was shaking and unable to speak. Zhang Mao couldn't bear to watch it, and he was not prepared, so he refused. Please go back, I am just a serf, you have the wrong person. Hearing his refusal, Shen Zhu didn't bother to argue with Zheng Hu. We have received reliable information that Jirao's Star Lord, Military Lord and Chief were killed last night. And someone destroyed the Jirao rice warehouse, and some incredible things were exposed inside. Now is the best time. If you wait for the Federation to react and send people to take over Jirao, it will be difficult for you to revolt again. Are you serious? Zhang Mao paused and turned around suddenly. He stared at Shen Zhu with eyes as sharp as torches, trying to discern the truth in his words. I, Shen Zhu, swear to the light in the name of the one who welcomes the light. If I tell a lie, I will fall into darkness forever. After these words were spoken, Zhang Mao's doubts were largely eliminated. For the light welcomers of the Light Welcoming Council, there is no oath more vicious than this. However, since the matter was urgent, he still went out and sent someone to investigate. After a night of fermentation, what happened in Jirao rice warehouse and the deaths of the 3-star lords could no longer be concealed. It's just that Jirao lacks modern facilities and information is transmitted slowly. If you check carefully, you can easily get the information. About an hour later, Zhang Mao returned to his room after confirming the authenticity of the news. The news is true. You didn't come to me just to tell me this, did you? It's done. Shen Zhu glanced at Zheng Hu and then spoke. We can provide you with a certain amount of armaments, which are just outside the city. Of course it's not free, you will need to pay it back with 1.5 times the value of high-level rice later. This request is not excessive. I agree. Shen Zhu stretched out his hand and shook hands with Zhang Mao. Then, on behalf of the Yingguang Council, I wish you a successful uprising. No, we are not slaves. We are people. Zhang Mao stopped him sternly. If not born this way, no one would want to be a lowly slave. He shook off Shen Zhu's hand and walked out. The star power carried his body into the air, with his right hand raised high above his head. The sound merged into the rolling star power and spread in all directions. The time has come. I, Zhang Mao, the one favored by the 9 stars, hereby declare. Today. 9 scorpions. Peasants revolt. By the way, why have I never seen any tips or thanks? How is the system set up? Forget it, if the system doesn't send it, I'll do it myself. I would like to thank Yanzu and Yifei for their kind rewards. I wish you all a bright future, success in everything, all your dreams come true, a happy family, and endless good luck. Chapter 86. The sun rises in the east, and the brilliant rays of light illuminate the earth. Zhang Mao was covered in a layer of light golden glow, looking solemn and sacred. Gradually, some people came out of their homes. As time went by, more and more people came. They were silent, but their eyes were burning with anger. That was the anger that had been accumulated for a long time towards Jirao, the landlords, and the slavery system, and he wished he could burn them all to ashes. Zhang Mao looked serious. I felt that the atmosphere was almost right and was about to give orders when someone came running over. Brother Zhang, Brother Zhang. Zhang Mao was unhappy and didn't show any expression at all. What could be so important that you have to interrupt me at this moment? Under the gaze of everyone, he did not vent his anger. Disperse the star power that is enveloping the body and fall from the air. What's up? The visitor looked panicked. There are troops coming towards Jirao. You can't pick on such a small matter. Wait, you said there is an army. Zhang Mao suddenly came to his senses. How is that possible? Slavery stipulates that serfs are not allowed to leave Star City. Moreover, Jirao is an agricultural star city, and the only commercial trade on the surface is rice that is purchased and sold by the official government. The only way to transport this rice to the outside world is by federal train. There is no need for people in the city to leave, and the city gates are closed all year round. The Jirao defenders do not need to leave the city frequently like the armies of other star cities to clear out the nearby mutants and star beasts. Therefore, the Jirao army is always in a state of complete integrity. If that's the case, why would an army come to Jirao? Zhang Mao thought hard and finally attributed the cause to the turmoil in the city last night. Otherwise, he can't be here to suppress me and others. How is it possible that the troops to suppress the uprising arrived just after the uprising was announced? He looked at Shen Zhu. Can your armaments be in place now? Anytime. Good. Zhang Mao gave the order. The situation has changed, send 100 people to inform the others. The rest of you, come with me to capture the city wall. We can't let the enemy enter the city. The banner of rebellion has been raised and there is no turning back. Even if unexpected factors intervene, we must stick to our path to the end. They must capture Jirao in one fell swoop, otherwise they will be doomed. Federal Parliament. Unlike the usual bustle, today is unusually quiet. On the screen in the center, there are pictures. It was obvious that the warehouse had melted away and was exposed to the sun, revealing metal racks containing deformed organs. Among the 36 people, an old man in a doctor's robe spoke. Who's involved? The calm old voice echoed in the chamber. After a long time, no one answered. The old man turned his gaze towards the man in the third position on his left. There was no verbal communication between the two, a glance was enough. The man snapped his fingers. Invisible ripples spread out. Suddenly, some members of parliament stood up uncontrollably. When I counted them carefully, there were actually 43. You have to know that there are only 72 foreign MPs in total. The old man's eyes instantly changed from a clear spring to a cold pond. I personally issued the order to ban the creation of artificial half-deformed creatures. Are you guys so disrespectful to me? Among the 43 people, some were terrified, while others did not care at all. If we divide them into 2 groups according to the time when they became members of parliament, you will find that those who don't care are all in the later group without exception. In their view, the 36 people simply entered the parliament earlier and had more seniority. As members of parliament, we all have equal rights and no one is superior to anyone else. The old man withdrew his gaze and said indifferently. Since you dare to participate, I will kill you. You dare? Old man, I usually respect you as a senior and give you face, but you really take it seriously. We are both members of parliament. What qualifications do you have to kill me? All of them are members of parliament? Haha. A person across from the old man chuckled and exhaled with his lips parted. A slight breeze blew by. Anyone who opens his mouth to shout will have his life taken away in an instant. They kept the same movements as before they were alive, and someone accidentally bumped into them. The body suddenly weathered and shattered at the touch, turning into powder on the ground. In an instant, the huge house. Everyone lowered their heads and there was complete silence. The old man saw that of the 43 people who stood up, 31 were still alive. I couldn't help but look at the person who was exhaling. He leaned back, his back resting on the chair. Old Bai, give the youngsters a chance. If all 43 are killed, won't the Federation be in chaos? The old man called Bai Lao closed his eyes and agreed with his words. In the back, the 31 people who had managed to survive were ecstatic, their bodies wet as if they had just been pulled out of the water. The screen in the center turned, and a relaxed look appeared on it. Let's discuss what we should do with this person. Silence, long silence. An Xian was the one who destroyed the Jirao rice warehouse, and he wanted to skin and tear apart the stakeholders involved. But from the federal perspective, he actually did a great thing. Besides, he possesses the ability to create star warriors, and the Federation has been interested in winning him over. Thinking of this, Zhang Xiao, the 31 survivors, suggested. Young people tend to be vain, so why don't we give him some fame? It can both show goodwill to him and suppress the adverse impact of the Jirao incident. That's a good idea. Let's do it. The meeting is adjourned. As soon as Zhang Xiao walked out of the Parliament House, someone came up to him. Councilman Zhang, you have a big share in Jirao. You were overthrown by An, don't you hate him? Hate, of course I hate. Then you proposed to give him a title and show your favor to him. Haha, you only saw the first layer. Jirao's plate is too big, and even 43 councillors are involved. There are dealers of abnormal organs in almost every star city. They are making a lot of money by holding this business. Zhang Xiao clenched his fist, and his family had the right to sell deformed organs in 5-star cities. This item provides the family with half of the total revenue every year. How could he be willing to swallow his anger when his purse was burned by An Xian? I suggest that we hype up An Xian's reputation and let everyone know that it was An Xian who did it. By then, we won't have to do anything, those people won't let An Xian go. This is a trick of killing someone with a borrowed knife, brilliant. What? The top 10 most touching figures in the Federation? The outstanding youth of the Federation? The role model for young people? Planning to put me on the cover of a textbook? Are you sure you're talking about me? An Xian was woken up by the ringing of the phone and was completely dazed. He wondered if he had heard it wrongly, or if he was just dreaming and hadn't woken up yet. First, he killed a trial team, then killed the 3 giants of Jirao, and also overturned Jirao's rice warehouse. Let the deformed organ trade that can be concealed be completely exposed to the sun. From beginning to end, he didn't do a single good thing. Do these titles have anything to do with me? The omniscient vision sensed repeatedly and confirmed that the phone number displayed on the phone was Su Mei, and not a scam call. An Xian fell into deep thought. When you wake up, the world has changed. Chapter 87. An Xian lowered his voice. Su Mei, have you been kidnapped or threatened? If so, take a breath. I'm gonna FK your mother's leg. Ding ding ding. A blind tone sounded. Su Mei hung up the phone speechlessly. Not to mention whether she, an S-level star warrior, would be easily kidnapped. Even if he was really kidnapped, Mei Xian's soul was in An Xian's hands, so no matter how much he was threatened, he would not be able to deceive An Xian. This way. An Xian answered another call. It was Ling Xing, who came to congratulate her for the same purpose as Su Mei. I dealt with it, and just as I hung up, another call came. After an unknown amount of time, a new steamed the Jirao rice. A number of acquaintances, including but not limited to Cheng Xian, Ling Xing, etc., all called An Xian to congratulate him. I just don't know why I didn't receive Wang Gang's call. Never mind. It doesn't matter. An Xian put down the phone, and the smell of Jirao rice no longer smelled good. He finally understood that the Federation was making every effort to build momentum for him on StarNet. The purpose is nothing more than to suppress the matter of Jirao rice granary. Over the years, countless deformed organ transactions have not caused any waves despite the overwhelming publicity for peace and leisure. On the contrary, An Xian became famous, and became famous completely. As long as you open the Star Network, his picture will pop up. The pictures were randomly taken from the video he posted on the free forum, without any post-processing. The boy wore sunglasses, leaned on a cane, and had a bright and cheerful smile. Next to his portrait, there are many extremely famous titles that have no value at all, which are posted there for free. When An Xian saw this, he exclaimed that it was outrageous. "You're using me to suppress public opinion. What a federation you are! You're really amazing." He was so angry that his teeth were itching. The title was quite high, but there was no benefit at all. You're not in the entertainment industry, so why do you need such a famous name? People are afraid of becoming famous just like pigs are afraid of getting fat. If people recognize him wherever he goes in the future, how can he pretend to be, well, how can he keep a low profile? MD, I've made note of this account. I'll get my revenge sooner or later. An Xian was so angry that he punched the bed and it collapsed. In the little notebook in my mind, the person who came up with this idea has a tendency to surpass the old charlatan and rank first. Brother, don't be angry, eat. An Yu held the bowl and spoke softly to comfort her. Okay, I'm not angry. An Xian forced a smile, stroked his pink hair, and took the bowl. The Jirao rice that I've been craving for is a delicacy that's hard to find even without any side dishes. But he was so angry that he had no appetite. He ate the rice in a hurry and took An Yu out immediately after she finished eating. Go to Jirao Star. Hurry up and finish the check-in and go get your eyes back. Then let the little pink-haired kid find the one who came up with the bad idea. Jirao City Wall. The process of Zhang Mao leading the rebels to capture the city wall was so smooth that it was unbelievable to him. Last night, the military commander transferred the troops guarding the city wall to the Jirao rice warehouse. I am still hungover due to the power of the drunken immortal. When the rebels arrived here, there were only 2 or 3 cats, big and small, on the city wall. When they saw the huge crowds of insurgents, they laid down their arms and surrendered without any thought of resistance. Zhang Mao stood on the top of the city wall and looked out. Facing the howling wind, he saw a large convoy heading towards this side. With the assistance of the rebels, the armaments of the Yingguang parliament were quickly in place. In addition, the equipment left behind by the defenders on the city wall was enough to arm the rebels. However, the predecessors of the rebel army were serfs after all and had received no training at all. They had been working with hoes all their lives, and were scattered on the city wall in a disorganized manner. Zhang Mao was not disappointed either. It's great to have the courage to pick up a gun and resist. At least better than the vast majority of serfs, who didn't even have the courage to stand up. Everyone! Facing the approaching enemy, Zhang Mao suddenly shouted loudly to attract everyone's attention. Whether you want to be a slave for generations or live an upright life, the decision is in your own hands. Hold your guns tight, hold your guns ready, and shoot at the people below. Zhang Mao didn't give them any profound lectures. There were no bowls of chicken soup either. Being an upright human being is the most effective motivation for them who have been slaves all their lives. Yes. Beat him. Lao Zi doesn't want to be a slave, Lao Zi wants to be a human being. Kill them. Fire. Fire. The insurgents, who had never touched a gun before, were like a chicken with its blood pumped up, and learned everything on their own. They fired guns and cannons in a very professional manner. The coalition forces of the 2 star cities of Grat and Keiki. He was planning to stop at the foot of the city and send people to negotiate with the Jirao garrison. Tell them that their 2 armies were sent by the federal military. So that they would open the city gates and let themselves enter the city. Unexpectedly, the car was bombarded with shells before it even stopped. The accuracy is not very high, but it can withstand the short distance and high density. The coalition formed by 2 elite armies was defeated by a group of peasants, causing heavy casualties in an instant. Retreat! Retreat! The coalition commander yelled. The rear car became the front car, and everything remained orderly amid the chaos. The coalition forces began to retreat, and in just 10 minutes, nearly half of them escaped from the fire coverage area. At this moment, the difference between the elite troops and the miscellaneous soldiers was clearly demonstrated. If it were a miscellaneous army, they would be caught off guard at such a close distance, and in the panic, there is a high possibility that the entire army would be wiped out. The first battle was a success. Zhang Mao yelled excitedly. Cheers immediately rang out on the city wall. Shen Zhu walked up to Zhang Mao. You think this is a win? Of course not. Zhang Mao glanced at him with a serious look, without any of the excitement he had before. Faced with such a sudden attack, it is not easy to evacuate half of the people. When they come to their senses, we will have a headache. Zhang Mao looked around and took in the entire scene on the city wall. But I have to inspire their confidence. Let them have the illusion that the elite of the Federation is just like this. Otherwise, if you encounter a slight setback, the energy you have worked so hard to muster will be lost. Aside. Zhang Hu recorded everything in front of him. Uprising, revolution, independence, rebellion, you name it. The Yingguang Parliament needs to learn from these experiences. Fortunately, when they rise up in the future, they will deal a heavy blow to the Federation. Jirao Rice Warehouse. Surrounded by a large number of serfs. The drunken immortal sat on the star, with the aroma of wine permeating his entire body. The Xingguo division and Jirao defenders were still in a coma. If the drunken immortal is willing, there is no problem in letting them get drunk until they die. Hey, make way! An Xian held An Yu's hand and signaled the serfs in front to make way. The man glanced at him and made way. They fall down one after another when they go in, as if they are drunk. No matter what you do, you can't wake them up. If you have the guts, go in. An Xian walked past him and ignored him. The serfs separated on their own, some with sarcastic looks on their faces, some staring at An Yu with greed in their eyes. How much would such a pair of beautiful pink pupils be worth if they were deformed successfully? The malicious looks made An Yu hold An Xian's hand even tighter. Elder brother. He walked slowly forward, leaning on a cane. Just do what you think. Good. After getting the approval, An Yu changed his timid attitude and bared his teeth at the people around him. Look again, and I'll kill you all. There is still one chapter that has been delayed for review. I lost 200 yuan for full attendance. It's a mess. Chapter 88. The serfs were stunned for a moment, then burst into laughter. What did the little girl say? She said she was going to kill us all. Oh, I'm dying of laughter. If she wants to make me die of laughter, there's a good chance she'll succeed. Come and show me how you kill someone. An Xian raised his eyebrows slightly, let go of An Yu's hand, and gently pulled his hair to show encouragement. Come on. Then he tapped his toes lightly and leaped towards Jirao Star. An Yu was left alone. She looked around at the approaching crowd and smiled sweetly. Pumpkin simulation is lifted. She has a petite body but carries a disproportionately large gun. As the crowd's gazes changed from mockery to horror, a slender finger pulled the trigger. Brilliant golden light bullets spray. With her as the center, a bloody Shura field unfolds. Screams and pleas for mercy were heard everywhere. Minced meat splattered and blood flowed like a river. An Yu laughed happily and was very happy. On the Jirao Star, An Xian sat down next to the drunken immortal. I haven't seen you for a few hours, and you've suddenly become one of the top 10 people who moved the Federation. I had just sat down and felt relaxed, but now my temples were throbbing. You're just bringing up something that's not relevant, right? Oh, no matter what, it's still a good reputation, better than being a notorious old drunkard like you. The drunken immortal was silenced. Forget about it. I really have no right to talk about him. After a while, he looked at An Yu and changed the subject. Is there something wrong with this child's psychology? What's the problem? It's normal for children to be naughty. The drunken immortal fell silent again. Carrying a big gun and shooting indiscriminately at a crowd is called naughty. What else can he say? I lay down leisurely, feeling the speed at which the check-in progress bar increases, and I feel very satisfied. Why haven't you left yet? Are you staying here just to guard these bottles and jars? Yes, someone has to watch over it. The wine fairy sighed. If I leave, those serfs will rush over and snatch these away in an instant. Just rob it. Why, you can't bear to part with it. Or do you also want to exchange for a deformed organ? Fart. The drunken immortal glared and took a sip of wine. Although I don't want to admit it, handing these things over to the Federation is the best option. Otherwise, it would not be a good thing for any other force to obtain so many deformed organs. An Xian nodded in agreement. Indeed, the Commonwealth has the most comprehensive and best healthcare system. It can maximize the role of these deformed organs and find suitable owners for them. But recognition is recognition. If An Xian were to make the decision, he would think it would be best to destroy everything. Even if the original intention is good, it is impossible to control such a large number of deformed organs without exception. There are policies from the top and countermeasures from the bottom, and interests move people's hearts. The people below have to deal with it so that they can get away with it. They replace the deformed organs with those in need, then slaughter the person and take the organs out to sell at a high price. This kind of thing is very likely to happen. By then, the deformed organs will not only fail to save a person, but will kill more people. The gunshots faded away. There were dozens of meters around and some of them were dead, some were running away. No one can breathe anymore. Putting the pumpkin away, her happy smile faded and was replaced by a sad look. He stood there, looked at the blood on his body, and then looked at the place where An Xian was on Jirao Star. It's over, it's over. I'm going to get scolded again. As I hesitated, a peaceful voice came into my ears. Find a place to wash up and change clothes before coming back. 2 days later. The battle to capture and defend the city wall intensified. After suffering a setback in the first wave, the allied forces of the two cities quickly organized a counterattack. One side is the elite, while the other side, strictly speaking, is not even an army. Even though the latter had the advantage of the city walls, casualties continued to increase. On the other hand, the coalition forces of the two cities, except for the loss of more than half of their forces in the first wave, had casualties of less than 1/10 of that of the rebels in the past 2 days. The huge disparity dealt a heavy blow to the morale of the rebels. When the enemy is hit from below, accurate bullets and artillery shells can always cause effective casualties. If this wasn't Jirao Star City, there would be fields everywhere in the city. The allied forces of the two cities were concerned about damaging the rice fields. We had already applied for missile strikes to wipe out the rebels on the city walls. Brother Zhang, someone has already thrown away his gun and ran away. What should we do? After receiving this bad news, Zhang Mao secretly thought he was unlucky. Why did the allied forces from the two cities happen to come to Jirao? It would be nice if they could come later. By that time the layout was complete and Jirao was in control. Take the food rations of half of the people in the Federation and all the land of Jirao as hostages. This made the federal government hesitant and afraid to attack rashly, and the uprising was successful. But now, there is absolutely no time for him to make deployments. Are we going to raise the white flag? Zhang Mao was extremely conflicted. At this time, Shen Zhu made a meaningful suggestion. Mr. Zhang, in troubled times, severe punishments should be used. Zhang Mao understood and looked at him deeply. If I do that, what's the difference between me and Jirao's current landlord class? Of course there is a difference. The landlords forced the serfs to work hard for their own benefit. You want them to have a bright future, and those who achieve great things don't care about small details. Shen Zhu raised his head and spread his arms as if hugging someone. Dawn is coming. The darkness before dawn is not to be feared. I am the one who welcomes the light, and I should welcome the light to shine upon all creation. At this moment, Shen Zhu was fanatical, like a fanatic. To welcome the light and illuminate a starry city is the highest honor for those who welcome the light. Aside. Zhang Hu recorded silently. Shen Zhu is suspected of being wooed by the Illuminati faction, please be careful. The internal divisions within the Yingguang parliament have become fatally serious. It will fall apart if you are not careful, it's not a joke. Since the establishment of the Light Council, light has never arrived. Some people whose beliefs are not firm have their mindset changed as a result. For example, if the light doesn't come, then I will be the light. They don't want to be liberators, they want to be the new rulers. Zhang Hu wrote this sentence and then quickly blacked it out. Some things just need to be remembered in your heart. Under Shen Zira's scorching gaze, Zhang Mao made a difficult decision. At the same time, his mentality also underwent a subtle change, and he gave orders to those who came to report to him. Those who desert will be shot on the spot. Send more people to the city to recruit soldiers. There are so many people in the city, we will exhaust the enemy troops to death. Brother Zhang, but... just do as I say. As long as Jirao can be liberated and all serfs can live uprightly, some sacrifices are necessary and worthwhile. Yes. Another 2 days. The city walls were stained red with blood. Countless serfs died there. Thanks to their sacrifice, the war situation was stable. However, Zhang Mao was not happy. What he wanted was not stability, but victory. Using the lives of serfs to narrow the gap with the coalition forces of the two cities, there have been complaints from the people below. If they still cannot achieve victory, I am afraid that the rebels will have to revolt again under the leadership of someone else. When his hair turned white with worry. 100 miles away, an army was approaching quietly. It was the Nanan army that travelled from Nanan to Jirao. Chapter 89. Parking. Song Yanwen gave the order. Nanan military orders are strictly enforced. Jirao's artillery fire was so conspicuous that even a blind person could see it. Li Gong volunteered. Star Lord, I'll go take a look. Song Yanwen said to Yang Gai. Go ahead, be careful. Yes. Gai Yang changed to another car and drove towards Jirao alone. Li Gong refused to accept. Why won't you let me go? Song Yanwen glanced at him, and everything was said without words. Li Gong took the lead in leading the army to charge. But when it comes to investigation, looking at his big and strong appearance, is he cut out for it? Anyone with a little self-awareness would not ask this question. About half an hour later, Yang Gai returned with the recorded video. Song Yanwen watched the video while listening to Yang Gai's narration. The defenders on the city wall are all peasants. No, according to Jirao's system, they should be called serfs. Yang Gai nodded affirmatively. The scene on the city wall was not clearly recorded in the video because it was too far away. But as a B-level star warrior, he can see very clearly. They were wearing coarse linen clothes, their defense was disorganized, and they were just killing people. Most of them couldn't even hold their guns steady, they were definitely not the Jirao defenders. Song Yanwen was in deep thought. These days, the Star Network is flooded with propaganda about An Xian. If you look carefully, you can see some fragments about Jirao rice granary. Apart from this, there was no news of Jirao's rebellion. Are the serfs rebelling? It looks like their situation is not very good. When Nanan was still in existence, Song Yanwen had heard about Jirao's situation. Being part of the same federation, this unique and deformed slavery system was bound to cause problems sooner or later. It was for this reason that he decided to lead the Nanan army to Jirao. Song Yanwen's original plan was to arrive at Jirao and let a small number of people enter the city first. Let them guide public opinion, add fuel to the fire, and prompt the long-oppressed serfs of Jirao to revolt. Then the Nanan army took advantage of the chaos to enter the city and take advantage of the situation. I didn't expect that the serfs would rebel before I even arrived, which saved me a lot of trouble. Song Yanwen suddenly had a bold idea. Instead of fighting, just turn around and run away. It would be better to unite with the serf uprising army and take control of Jirao. Jirao has no shortage of food, and the serfs in the city are ready-made sources of soldiers. Occupying Jirao and holding half of the Federation's food rations, there is no need to worry about being attacked in the short term. Use this place as your foundation to accumulate strength and develop yourself. One day, we can recover Nanan. There's been a change of plans. Song Yanwen quickly overturned his previous plan. Gai Yang, find a way to get into the city, get in touch with the serf leader, and convey your intention to cooperate to him. We can attack the enemy from the rear, provided we divide them into 9 groups. What if they regret it later? Of course it's impossible to help them annihilate the enemy immediately. First put pressure on them to stop the fighting, and then we will demand to enter the city. Speaking of war, it is Li Gong's turn to appear. Kindness does not command the army, and righteousness does not command the wealth. A hint of cruelty emerged in those tiger eyes. After entering the city, if they keep their promise, we will rule Jirao together. Otherwise, let them continue to be slaves. Song Yanwen remained silent. But judging from his expression, he very much supported what Li Gong said. Nanan and the Nanan army are the first in his heart. If there were not too few soldiers in Nanan, it would be impossible to completely control Jirao. Moreover, it is not justified and easy to get out of hand. Otherwise, he, the Star Lord Song, might not be able to become the Landlord Song. Yang Gai took the order. Li Gong began to prepare for war. As soon as Yang Gai returns with the news of the cooperation, he will immediately launch an attack on the coalition forces of the 2 cities. On the wasteland, a car sped past. Behind, a creature surrounded by black mist was following closely. Whenever it didn't want to continue chasing, the car in front would use a gun to provoke its anger. After repeating this process over and over again, people gradually become immune to this trick. Its speed is getting slower and slower, and it is tending to stop. In the car, An Xian of Jie asked. How long will it take to get to Jirao? The driver looked at the map and determined the distance between this place and Jirao. 5 hours. An Xian nodded and glanced at the poisonous creature behind him that had lost power. Then he said to someone in the back seat. It's time for you to sacrifice yourself for Project Spark. The man held his head high, his face radiant. Sparks will set the prairie on fire. He shouted, opened the car door and jumped out. After landing, he shot 2 bloody holes in his body. Smelling the blood, the poison creature revived with full blood and quickly pounced on the man. Black mist enveloped his body. Sparks? A prairie fire. Try your best and shout again. Skin, flesh, bones, were rapidly being devoured by the poison in the black fog. In just a few seconds, this person disappeared from the world. The poison is not full. At this moment, a bleeding arm stretched out from the car in front. Blood flowed from the knife wound on the arm, and the smell of blood filled the air. The poisonous creature smelled the scent and excitedly rushed towards the car. Hurry, drive! Buzz! The engine roared and the vehicle rushed out in an instant. Federal Military Department. The general threw aside the urgent document sent by the House of Representatives. The garrison of Jirao headquarters, together with the elite coalition forces of the 2 star cities, can't suppress a serf rebellion. With doubts, he picked up the Jirao battle report. After reading it carefully, I became even more confused. Serfs occupy the city walls, and the Jirao defenders didn't show up. The general was puzzled. How could such a large garrison disappear out of thin air? If attacked from both inside and outside, it would be a miracle for the serfs to hold out for half a day. He picked up the phone and dialed the Federal Intelligence Organization to get the wind. The Jirao serfs are rebelling. What are the garrisons doing? There was silence on the other end of the phone, as if he was asking questions. After half a minute, there was a voice guide. The Jirao defenders and the Xingguo division are 99% likely being controlled by the top free man Zhongxian near Jirao Star. As soon as the words were spoken, the communication was cut off. Wine Ferry. The General Army issued 2 orders. Contact the Freedom Forum and ask Zhongxian to release the Jirao defenders and the people from the Xingguo division immediately. You are not allowed to interfere in Jirao's affairs and leave immediately, otherwise it will be regarded as a declaration of war against the Federation. Order Hongchuan Star City to quickly dispatch troops to assist Jirao. Jirao Star. The drunken immortal received the message, patted his butt and stood up. You are leaving. If you don't leave now, the Federation will get angry. The drunken immortal had a thought, and the smell of alcohol that surrounded him disappeared. He watched An Xian kill the 3 giants of Jirao, and cooperated with him to capture the Jirao rice warehouse. The Federation could not hold him accountable for these 2 points because of the exposure of the deformed organs. But it was indeed too much to imprison the Jirao defenders and the people of the Xingguo division here during the serf uprising. He asked casually while lying there without getting up. Are you not going to guard these bottles and jars? I've been guarding for 4 days. I've done my best. I'll do whatever I want. The drunken immortal started right away. The characteristics of a free man are displayed vividly. It should have been done long ago. Why are you guarding these things? The Federation doesn't pay you. The drunken immortal did not respond and extended an invitation to An Xian. Let's go together. Easily call out the check-in progress bar. You go first, I have to wait another 2 hours. Okay, see you later if we're lucky. The drunken immortal did not ask the reason, but found a grain truck and filled it with 9 tons of rice. Before leaving, he said goodbye to Anu. Xiao Anu, Grandpa is gone. A pink-haired head popped out from the pile of white rice. The aho hair that was pressed down by the rice grains was pushed away and shook upright. Anu found the figure of the drunken immortal and responded politely. Goodbye, old drunkard. Wine Fairy. Chapter 90. Half an hour after the drunken immortal left, the Jirao defenders and everyone from the Xingguo division slowly woke up. After waking up, the first thing they discovered was that the 4 Jirao rice warehouses had disappeared. The warehouse of deformed organs is their biggest secret. Now it is exposed naked in the sun. Finished. These two words popped up in everyone's mind at the same time. They are all involved in this. Some people even worked as door-to-door couriers. If the higher UPS investigate, even 800 lives won't be enough to kill. Damn it! We're exposed. What should we do? Where are the 4 large warehouses? I saw a news report last year about a man who artificially created a half-deformed creature. He was sentenced to death for selling a deformed organ. Then I gave birth to 2 deformed kidneys. Shouldn't I be shot twice? You only have 2 of us, and the ones I made can almost form a person. No, we have to destroy this evidence. Yes. Destroy these, including the surveillance and the transaction bill from the Star Lord. The law does not punish the masses. As long as there is no hard evidence, there are so many of us, and the higher UPS can't punish us. Soon, a consensus was reached. They ran towards the metal rack. He grabbed the glass jar and smashed it on the ground. One by one, the expensive deformed organs were separated from the nutrient solution and fell to the ground. The people behind came up and stepped on it one by one, crushing it to pieces. For a moment, the sound of breaking glass was heard continuously. The drunken immortal is here and might be able to stop us. Unfortunately, what is here is peace. This guy just wants to watch the fun. An Xian called anew to the star. Mobilize star power and mental power to hide their figures. Make sure they will not be discovered and affect the subsequent vandalism work. Then he took out his cell phone with a smile, turned on the video, and recorded the scene. It doesn't matter to An Xian whether the deformed organ is destroyed or not. However, he was very happy when he thought of the person behind the scenes who was so angry that he vomited blood after learning that his valuable deformed organ was destroyed. An Xian took the photos from different angles and muttered quietly. I didn't do this. I was just a faithful recorder. And you wondered why these people wanted to smash and trample on the deformed organ that the old drunkard was protecting. But when I saw that An Xian had no intention of caring, I didn't care anymore. Not only did he not care, but seeing the people below smashing things happily, he also wanted to give it a try. Brother, brother. An Yu tugged at the corner of An Xian's clothes. Can I go down and help them? An Xian was in a good mood after hearing this. Be helpful. So helpful. You're worthy of being with me. The old drunkard should really be allowed to leave later. Let him see what excellent character An Yu has possessed under his subtle influence. An Xian stimulated his mental strength, enveloping An Yu's entire body in an effort to weaken her presence as much as possible. You go over there. Good. In the following recording, An Xian avoided where An Yu was. Faced with a huge number of deformed organs. The smashing and looting operation lasted for more than an hour before it entered its final stage. An Yu played for a while and came back early. The defenders and the leader of the Xingguo division looked at each other. They asked people to fetch gasoline, alcohol, and other flammable liquids and pour them on the rice warehouse ruins. Prepare a fire and burn this place down completely. At this moment, An Xian dispelled the power that had hidden itself. Hey! Hey! There's someone here! The sound that echoed in their ears startled everyone. They looked in the direction of the sound. On Jirao Star, there stood a young boy and a little pink-haired loli. The boy was holding something in his hand and taking pictures. Wait! He is shooting. That night, An Xian spent most of the time acting like a drunkard. Even when he later revealed his face, few people could see it clearly because of the ambient light. They had just woken up from a hangover a few days ago and were so nervous that the few people who saw it clearly forgot about it. The scene of the smashing and destroying just now was filmed by him, so wouldn't it all be in vain? An Xian estimated the time and said to everyone who was in a daze. There are still 20 minutes left. Wait before setting the fire. Bang! Someone among the defenders opened fire. A bullet was fired towards An Xian. He grabbed the bullet in front of him and threw it aside. I told you to wait, why are you in such a hurry? I'm not forbidding you to burn it. No one cares about peace and quiet. More people below picked up guns and shot at Jirao Star. An Xian curled his lips helplessly. The star power gathered in front of him to protect himself and An Yu. He looked around again with his phone in hand. As evidenced by the video, they were the first to start the fight. Then he turned the camera and pointed it at himself, with an expression of innocence and anger on his face. I am at ease. I have touched the top 10 figures in the Federation, the outstanding youth of the Federation, and the benchmark for young people. Being treated like this by the Jiraiya defenders and the Xingyu division is intolerable. If we let them do whatever they want, the Federation will be ruined. For the Federation, I decided to nip this trend in the bud. After saying that, he ended the recording and put away his phone. The look of grief, anger, and innocence disappeared, replaced by a look of indifference. Little pink hair, gun. Brother, give it to me. Take over the romantic turret and whisper leisurely. You have so many guns, I'll just use one, it's just a little bit bigger, I'm being accommodating to you. The front end of the pumpkin falls off and it transforms into a cannon. The mixed energy of star power and spiritual power is infused into it. The heart-pounding golden color gathered at the muzzle, emitting terrifying power. Old Yan Wang, I can open another big order today. Pull the trigger and a golden laser shoots out. The defenders in the laser range were instantly decomposed. Very thorough, not even a ash is left. Almost all the defenders of the entire Jiraiya Star City gathered here. The number is no less than 100,000. Huddled together densely. This time, at least 1,000 people died. The others came to their senses instantly and fled in all directions. Light a fire? Burn him to death? The person who just shouted wishes he could beat himself to death. There was nothing wrong before, but now I have to report to the King of Hell. The corners of An Xian's lips curved into a sarcastic arc. Run? Will it work? He's not willing to wait for 20 minutes. He seems to be in a hurry. Then be kind and help them move their life progress bar directly to the end. Little pink hair. Hold head high. A feeling of leisure and calmness. There aren't many people as kind-hearted as my brother. Anu's light pink pupils turned into stars at this moment. So handsome. My brother is so handsome. Yet, I want to be a kind person like my brother. How sensible. An Xian increased his star power output, and it seemed as if an evil spirit was released from his heart. The curve of the mouth corners became more obvious, revealing a bit of the arrogance that young people should have. The golden laser from the muzzle was condensed and did not disperse. Suddenly, the muzzle of the gun rotates. The thick laser also began to move. Pieces like holding a huge laser sword. Sweeping across, the fleeing defenders and star warriors were annihilated in the lasers. Not only them, but also the houses and the nearby Jiraiya fields all disappeared in the laser. After a sweep, the world fell into silence. Only a circle of bottomless gullies on the ground proved what happened here. If we go back in time to when the Federal Army was wondering, did the Federal garrison disappear out of thin air? An Xian will definitely respond with a sincere nod. Not only that, there's also the Xingyu division, with more than 100,000 people in total. It just disappeared, it's amazing. Chapter 91. Ding. Jiraiya Star City check-in progress 100%, check-in successful. Congratulations to host for winning, Ironhide. The next check-in Star City has been unlocked. Please go to Sagang Star City to complete the check-in. Ironhide? What is that? Just handed the pumpkin transformed into a bracelet to Anu. It took 4 days, and the notification of completion of the clock-in came at the perfect time. Anyway, it won't be literal iron sheet. We'll know once we get it out. An Xian thought about it, but couldn't come up with an answer for a moment. Just give up guessing and choose the simplest method. Receive. As soon as the thought came to his mind, a circular hole with a diameter of several meters opened up above his head. Anu stared curiously, but it was pitch black inside and he couldn't see anything. An Xian slowly opened his mouth. Could it be that thing? The next moment, a pair of huge metal feet appeared. The safe guess was confirmed instantly. He rarely lost his composure and clapped his hands excitedly. Brother Tongzi. It's a rare occasion that you did something human. It's a FG transformer. Although with An Xian's current strength, it would be no problem for him to beat this thing into scrap metal. But due to his Autobot complex from his previous life, he was extremely satisfied with this reward. After a few seconds, a metal structure about 6 or 7 meters high stands on the Jiraiya star. An Xian rushed over immediately and touched him left and right. This texture, even if it is fake, is worth collecting as a one-to-one restored figure. Anu looked at An Xian who was excited and couldn't quite understand. Why is my brother so happy? Why does this big guy have tires on him? So ugly. Pumpkins are prettier. After leisurely exploring for a while, my excited heart calmed down a little. He discovered a problem. Why didn't this thing move? Hey! Shit! As soon as the thought came to his mind, Taipei suddenly raised his leg, scaring An Xian. Cough. He coughed dryly to hide his embarrassment. Avoiding An Yu's puzzled gaze, he began to check the information sent by the system. In the excitement, I almost forgot that the rewards I got would be changed by the system. For example, Hongji and Romantic Ford have all been changed. After a moment, peace of mind came to light. The basic situation remains unchanged, and the driving energy is transformed into star power. Like Hongji, his self-awareness was removed, but Ironhide retained his intelligence core. It is also connected to one's own consciousness, and commands can be given to it through consciousness. An Xian roughly sorted it out and suddenly found a key point. He looked in detail at the so-called intelligent core. It is absolutely controlled by the host, and can continuously learn and improve itself, simulating human-like thinking. Isn't this artificial intelligence? Brother Tongzi, I misunderstood you before. Although you don't have much conscience, you still have some. A top-of-the-line pickup truck was driving on a dirt road. An Xian issued an order to go to Jirao City Gate. The pickup truck made of iron sheet plans the optimal route and turns on the unmanned driving mode. Brother, how did the big iron lump turn into a car? And it can run by itself without you driving it. Co-pilot. An Yu touched the interior of the car. After the system modification, the interior was extremely exquisite and he was extremely curious. Leaning back on the leather seat, I felt the rare and generous tranquility of the system and thought this issue was a bit complicated. This is magic. Magic. An Yu tilted her head, her big watery eyes filled with confusion. The tip of the nose is twitching and smells bad. But what my brother said is absolutely right. It seems that there was something wrong with the ability this time. Be at peace in your heart and communicate with the system. Can I use object simulation on Ironhide? Without waiting for the system to answer and to prevent being rejected, he quickly added. The iron sheet is just like Hongji, without any self-awareness, so it is just a pure object. In this case, using object simulation on it does not violate the conditions of use. Ironhide has an intelligent core and can learn, An Xian interrupted. Stop talking nonsense and just tell me whether it has self-awareness now. No. So is it a living thing? Not really. An Xian smiled complacently. That's it. It's not a living thing and has no self-awareness. So tell me, is there any problem using object simulation on it? This time, the system simply didn't answer. Freely designate the iron sheet and activate the item simulation opportunity once. A barely perceptible layer of light covered the moving pickup truck. You can choose. The representative can be simulated. An Xian began to think about the simulated form. The pumpkin-shaped bracelet looks pretty good on the little pink-haired girl. How about making one yourself? Forget it, nothing new, let's change it. His thoughts were racing, and the distance between the pickup truck and the Jirao City Gate was rapidly closing. At the same time, Yang Gai, on behalf of the Nanan army, formally met with Zhang Mao. After explaining his purpose, Shen Zhu began to bring the two parties together. When he was in Nanan, he tried to win over the Nanan army, but unfortunately there was no news of him afterwards. I didn't expect the Nanan army would come to Jirao. The distance between the two places is quite long. The Nanan army wanted to avoid the Federal Star City and rush all the way here. I'm afraid they have something big in mind. After this battle, Zhang Mao was awakened. The gap between the rebel army composed of serfs and the regular army is not small. He welcomed the arrival of the Nanan army with open arms. With the encouragement of many parties, the temporary cooperation intention was reached smoothly. After Yang Gai returned with the good news, Li Gong, who had been preparing for a long time, immediately led the Nanan army to attack the coalition forces of the two cities. The coalition forces of the two cities are elite, and the Nanan army, which possesses the military spirit, is the elite among the elite. Moreover, the former had been fighting for many days, and had consumed a lot of mental and physical energy. The allied forces of the two cities really did not have the extra energy to defend the rear. They were not discovered until the Nanan army approached. It's too late. It was an almost one-sided massacre, and the allied forces of the two cities were completely routed. More than half of the remaining people were killed again. As Li Gong wanted to prevent Zhang Mao from becoming a regular soldier and letting him go, the Nanan army did not wipe out the allied forces of the two cities. The allied forces of the two cities fled, leaving behind a field of corpses. With their power, Jirao cannot be taken down. We had to wait for reinforcements to arrive before we could discuss the matter. The allied forces of the two cities temporarily withdrew, and the Nanan army entered the city smoothly as planned. Reject Zhang Mao's proposal of a welcoming party. Song Yanwen began to make arrangements in a hurry. He climbed to a commanding position and began to give an inspiring speech. After all, he used to be a Star Lord, so his skill in making big plans is beyond reproach. Just one word, absolutely. First calm the serfs' restless hearts, then describe the scene after success. Listen to Song Yanwen talk about the wonderful life. The anticipation for the future instantly overwhelms the fear of death. Even the resentment towards Zhang Mao had dissipated a lot immediately afterwards. Li Gong came on stage. What he had to do was to stimulate the bloodiness of the serfs. Ridicule, encouragement, and flattery are the three main tactics. The serfs, who had never been exposed to the world outside the city and were out of touch with society, all had red eyes. I wish I could rush out of the city with a sickle and fight the coalition forces of the two cities. Finally, the city wall defense was reorganized with the system of one soldier leading 5 farmers. With the intervention of regular elite troops, the defense of the city walls was instantly improved exponentially. It looks like a strong army. Jureo at this time. The future is promising. Chapter 92. Tongzi, speaking of iron sheets, can they block radiation? Conceive a simulation of the iron sheet. An Xian suddenly thought of this question. He remembered what alloy the iron-hide body was made of, and it seemed to be able to withstand radiation. But I don't know if it will be useful for the wasteland radiation in this world. After all, humans have discovered that the only material that can block radiation from wasteland is star ore. It can block normal radiation, but cannot block wasteland radiation. An Xian was not disappointed when he heard this. Star minerals and wasteland radiation are unique to this world. The iron sheet is a foreign object and cannot be blocked as expected. It's just a matter of coating with star paint. He doesn't need this little money. Approaching the city wall, surrounded by serfs, to the naked eye, oh, no peace. Then, based on the degree of perception of the omniscient vision, it has obviously increased. The brand new pickup truck is shiny and its tough steel lines exude a cold metallic color under the sun. The serfs who were being driven towards the city gate immediately made way for the pickup trucks when they saw them. In their impression, only landlords can drive. Although the banner of rebellion is now high, the slave mentality ingrained in their bones since childhood still makes them subconsciously afraid. An Yu leaned on the car window. Brother, they seem to be very afraid of us. Is it bad? An Yu thought about it and his eyes lit up slightly. Good. It's better than us being afraid of them. Yes, in this world, if we don't want to be afraid of others, we have to make others afraid of us. I feel deeply touched by An Xian. What's the difference between pinning your hopes for your own safety on the kindness of others and seeking death? Anyway, it has been 2.5 years since I traveled through time, and few of the people who hoped for a peaceful and kind life are still alive. 10 minutes later. The pickup truck was stuck in the crowd and couldn't move forward. The serfs tried to dodge as best they could, but the dirt road was so wide. Even if many people jumped into the field, it would be of no avail. Get out of the car. An Xian pushed open the car door with force, knocking down a group of people. He got out of the car with his cane and motioned for An Yu to crawl down towards the driver's seat. Holding An Yu, An Xian jumped up and landed on the rice. Thanks to the blessing of the stars, the rice in Jureo Star City is at least 4 or 5 meters tall. During the hot summer, taking shelter from the heat under the wheat is an excellent way to escape the summer heat. An Xian and An Yu are as light as nothing. Standing on the rice, it feels like standing on feathers, and there is no sign of rice ears drooping at all. In the gaze of the serfs who looked up to him as if he were a god. He moved lightly on his toes, among the rice plants, and disappeared in the blink of an eye. He. That man can fly. Did you see that? He was holding a child and flew away in an instant. Laozi is not blind, of course he saw it. A living god. He is a living god. Amidst the exclamations, someone looked at the pickup truck with its door wide open. The interior is not gorgeous, but the high-end interior with a touch of texture makes them unable to take their eyes away. That person is a god. This car is like a god's car, right? If you just pick up any item from inside and bring it home as a sacrifice, wouldn't it bless your ancestors and grandchildren for generations to come? Just as someone approached the pickup truck, the pickup truck suddenly changed. The car body cracked along the gap and quickly transformed and expanded into a tall robot. I. Recently, a person was so frightened that his eyes rolled back and he fainted. Others are not much better. What kind of divine vehicle is this? It's a monster. They squeezed out desperately. Someone accidentally fell and was trampled to death. 299 meters away. An Xian had an evil smile on his face. A thought came to my mind. The iron sheet suddenly shrank and turned into a streak of light and flew away. This immediately caused the serfs to shout for God's blessing. Keep bowing in the direction where peace disappears. Blessing? No, but there are a lot of bullets. Murmuring leisurely. A streak of light flew in from afar. An Yu was in An Xian's arms, with one hand around his neck. The other hand quickly reached out to grab the flowing light. However, the stream of light seemed to have self-awareness and turned sharply to avoid it. An Yu caught nothing, and his hair drooped down in dismay. An Xian chuckled and raised his right little finger slightly. The light swirled around the little finger and condensed into a pinky ring. The main color of the pinky ring is titanium gray. Viewed from different angles, one can vaguely see a hint of light blue luster that exudes a technological feel. This is the simulation of iron sheet. Peace of mind is based on the principle of portability and being out of the way. Determined to simulate the iron sheet into a pinky ring. It's definitely not because you want to summon an Autobot by just raising your hand. Well, absolutely not. He is leisurely and low-key. An Xian raised his right hand and waved it in front of An Yu. Does it look good? Nice. An Yu responded and leaned on An Xian's shoulder. He looked at his wrist and curled his lips, thinking to himself. It's so dull. The pumpkin bracelet is more beautiful. An Xian heard that she was just being perfunctory and didn't bother with her. What does a little kid know about men's aesthetic taste? Then he tiptoed and shuttled through the rice fields, heading straight for the city wall. Jirao City Wall. The system of one soldier leading 5 farmers has an obvious effect. The serfs quickly mastered the basic usage of modern weapons. It's not standard, but it's not to the point of causing a joke like having a gun but not being able to fire it, or carrying a cannon but not being able to shoot. Left corner of the city wall. The scout holding the telescope suddenly saw dust flying in the distance. He looked carefully for a few seconds and shouted nervously. Enemy spotted. Estimated arrival in 5 minutes. The news spread through the scouts and spread in just half a minute. Are you here? Hearing the voice, Song Yanwen gave the order decisively. Li Gong, the defense is up to you. Do you have the confidence to hold on? The leader of the Nanan army is the best person to command the Nanan army in battle. Even as the Lord of the Stars, he is far inferior to them. Li Gong, who had been waiting for a long time, stood straight with his feet together. Have. Song Yanwen looked at Yang Gai. Logistical work such as ammunition replenishment and evacuation of the wounded must not go wrong. Yes. Li Gong and Yang Gai left. Seeing that there was nothing for him to do, Zhang Mao asked hurriedly. Star Lord Song, what about me? You. Song Yanwen fell into deep thought. In his opinion, Zhang Mao's strength, which came from the favor of the star, is useless. A serf has no right to go to school and may not even be able to read and write. What can you expect him to do? But after all, Zhang Mao was also the leader of the rebel army. Since they have volunteered, it would be unreasonable not to make some arrangements. Song Yanwen's face straightened. Brother Zhang, you have a heavy task. Oh. Zhang Mao's expression was equally serious. Just give your orders. For Jirao, I, Zhang Mao, will not hesitate to go through fire and water, even if it means I will die. You. Hey, isn't this Lao Zhang? I haven't seen you for a few days. You're so tired now. Arrived at the city wall. An Xian sensed that Zhang Mao was constantly jumping up and down on the edge of the city wall. Coming down from above, carrying 2 wounded men. Go up from the bottom and grab 2 substitutes. Zhang.human elevator. Mao's face darkened and he didn't respond. He grabbed 2 serfs who were going to fill the defense gap and quickly returned to the city wall. So embarrassing. His name is Zhang Mao. The leader of the peasant uprising. The future Star Lord of Jirao Star City. I was assigned to do this? Chapter 93. Zhang Mao did not respond. Being at ease doesn't mean you'll end up bored. He spotted another person and walked over immediately. Little Pinky, say hello. Old drunkard. A grain truck was parked beside the city gate. The drunken immortal laid down the chair and lay on it. From time to time he would pick up the wine gourd and take a sip of wine, looking so leisurely. Hearing the voices of the brother and sister, the drunken immortal rose from his chair. "Are you done?" "It's done." An Xian put a new down and responded casually. "Why haven't you left yet?" The drunken immortal pointed at the closed city gate. "There's a war going on, the city gates are not open. Rules are set for ordinary people, can they control you?" An Xian said nonchalantly. "Why not just ask them to open the door? If one disagrees, kill him and replace him with another. Someone will open the door eventually." The drunken immortal's mouth twitched. "Forget it, I'm not in a hurry, so I don't need that much time." Hearing this, An Xian shrugged and gave up the idea of opening the door with 3 swords. "Let's go up together? It seems like we know someone there." The drunken immortal, who had been lying for half a day, got off the car. "It's good to be active." As the two of them moved upwards, the pinky ring on An Xian's right hand disappeared quietly. A pickup truck appeared behind the grain truck. He condensed his voice into a line and transmitted it into An Yu's ears. An Yu nodded quickly. After seeing An Xian and the drunken immortal disappear, she opened the back compartment of the grain truck and quickly loaded the 9 bags of rice into the bed of the pickup truck. Through his omniscient vision, An Xian sensed An Yu's actions and grinned. On the way, he also said that he forgot to pack some Jirao rice when he left. "I was wondering whether to turn back and load another truck. Unexpectedly, I ran into a wild grain truck. What good luck!" Temporary Command Center. After receiving the report, Song Yanwen hurried out to greet him. The star internet was buzzing with news, so he must know that An Xian was in Jirao. "But with a powerful enemy at hand, I really can't spare the time to visit." Unexpectedly, An Xian came to me. "Mr. An. You, old wine, cough cough cough." When Song Yanwen saw the person next to An Xian, he subconsciously wanted to call out. Fortunately, at the last moment, he swallowed it back after a series of coughs. "Senior Wine Immortal," he called out honestly. Song Yanwen was very confused. Why was he in Jirao? The Federation preaches peace, but not wine. It's normal that he doesn't know. The drunken immortal nodded in response, then took the wine gourd and walked away on the city wall, shaking it. Leisurely and curious. "You know him?" Song Yanwen smiled wryly. "If it were any other top free agents, I might not recognize them, but I'm afraid there are very few people who don't know President Su Mei and the Wine Immortal. As the president of the Beauty Association, President Su is a role model for countless women, and the Wine Fairy, well, is also very famous." "Is that so? Don't worry about this issue. Why did you come to Jirao? Do you want to change the name of the Nanan army to the Jirao army?" Faced with An Xian's questions, Song Yanwen told his thoughts truthfully. "After listening, I felt relieved. It turns out that he can't be the Star Lord of Nanan, so he wants to be the Star Lord of Jirao." He wholeheartedly agreed with this. "And I sincerely wish him success. Being able to cause trouble for the federal government is a good thing to be happy about. Old Song, work hard, I'm counting on you." An Xian patted Song Yanwen's shoulder, speaking in the tone of a boss encouraging a subordinate. Song Yanwen didn't know what expression to make, so he could only laugh dryly. "Mr. An, how about going to the temporary command center?" An Xian politely declined. "It's a shabby place, I won't go there. Although it's a little broken, but... Never mind. It doesn't matter. It is a temporary command center, so it is understandable that there are some gaps and equipment deficiencies. Hurry up and finish the fight. Don't make me wait too long." An Xian waved at him and walked towards the old drunkard. Shells were fired from below from time to time. There were also stray bullets. As a result, there are many people who were seriously injured or even died. Batches of seriously injured farmers were replaced by new serfs. In such a tense and bloody atmosphere, An Xian and the drunken immortal, one is leaning on a cane, the other is holding a wine gourd. The two of them looked leisurely, just like old men taking a walk after dinner. It is incompatible with the current environment and is completely on a different level. About an hour. I'm really tired of the same old scenes. It happened that An Yu came up to seek some peace and quiet. "Elder brother." He called out and winked at An Xian quietly. The aho hair on top of his head sways from side to side. An Xian pressed it down with a slap, and then pinched a grain of rice from between her hair. Let's go down. No one objected, and the three of them went down. The drunken immortal returned to the grain truck and suddenly found a pickup truck next to it. Seeing An Yu got into the passenger seat with ease, he couldn't help but ask An Xian. Your car? Leaning leisurely on the hood. Don't you think so? You are a blind man, driving, forget it. The drunken immortal felt that this boy could not be judged by common sense. It's no big deal for a blind person to drive, which leads to another question. I remember you didn't drive when you first arrived. Yes, it's not open. Then your car? An Xian tilted his head and asked back. You came here by yourself. Could it be that your car can't run by itself? Whine immortal. Just, pretty good. He was too lazy to talk to An Xian and was about to go back to the car when he found signs that the trunk had been tampered with. The drunken immortal frowned slightly. Did someone steal Jiraiya rice while I was away? He reached the back and the moment he opened the door of the carriage, his face suddenly turned dark. The carriage that was originally full was now missing 20 bags of rice. How dare you? You stole it from me. The drunken immortal swept away his confusion and scanned the surroundings like lightning, looking for suspicious targets. His eyes inadvertently swept over An Xian. Whistling leisurely, pretending nothing happened. It swept over An Yu who was leaning against the car window looking out. An Yu followed suit and remained calm. She opened her round, pale pink eyes and looked directly at the drunken immortal, without feeling guilty at all. Neither of them aroused the suspicion of the drunken immortal. Until his eyes fell on the bed of the pickup truck. 9 rice. Exactly the same amount of Jiraiya rice that he lost. They were stacked neatly in the truck bed without any cover. The drunken immortal thought again and realized that he and An Xian had gone up before, but An Yu stayed down there. The scheming frog keeps touching your belly. Solve the case. Boy, can you explain? The drunken immortal sneered and walked towards An Xian. Be at ease and don't hide or evade. Explain what? I lost 20 bags of Jiraiya rice, and there happened to be 20 bags in your car. Shouldn't you explain it? Being at ease is not right, but being angry is also strong. Look, what a coincidence. You have what I have, which means we are destined to be together. The drunken immortal was shocked. How can this guy be so shameless that he can still argue even though he is caught red-handed? It's impossible to just give up. He has a backup plan. It's a pity you missed one thing. When I loaded the Jiraiya rice into the truck, I used the star power to hold it. The Jiraiya rice bag is stained with the alcohol from my star power, you can't deny it. Oh, so what? Can't fool people, just take it easy. The smell of alcohol only proves that you loaded rice into the car. Rice belongs to the car. An Yu rolled down the car window, a serious expression on his little face. I asked the car when I took the rice, and it didn't refuse, so I took it. An Xian rubbed her head. Great, we don't do things that are not asked for. But if you ask before taking it, there will be no problem. Chapter 94. The fairy in the wine smiled. They are indeed brother and sister, they are simply cast in the same mold. He decided to defeat magic with magic. So what you mean is, as long as I ask the car and the car doesn't refuse, I can take the things from the car, right? Stretch out your right hand and make a gesture of invitation. Please. Seeing how happy he was, the drunken immortal began to feel uneasy. This kid, is he planning something bad? I thought about it carefully, but couldn't figure it out. Immediately, I made up my mind and decided, who cares? This guy is really capable and makes the car speak. Otherwise, not to mention the rice, even the tires will be removed from you. The drunken immortal walked over to the pickup truck and asked. I want to take the rice from your truck, can I? If you don't say anything, then you are silent. No. The drunken immortal turned around and glared at An Xian. I didn't ask you, don't interrupt. An Xian spread his hands with an innocent look. I don't agree with you taking the rice from me. This time, the drunken immortal heard it clearly. He had a look of doubt on his face and turned his head stiffly and slowly. The front end of the pickup truck was slightly deformed, and a mechanical face could be roughly seen. It repeated itself in the drunken immortal's dull gaze. I don't agree with you taking the rice from me. Ha 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 ha. The drunken immortal slapped his forehead and forced a few laughs. He untied the wine gourd from his waist and took a big gulp. He drank too quickly, and the wine overflowed from the corners of his mouth, dripping onto the ground. Drunk, drunk, really drunk. The drunken immortal turned abruptly and walked back to the grain truck with his hands and feet together. How can a car talk? Impossible, absolutely impossible. He must have been drunk. Tisk, old people are just not good at accepting new things. An Xian sighed and got back into the car. Sparks will set the prairie on fire. The driver jumped out of the car and fed the poison. Once again aroused the poison's desire for flesh and blood. While driving at high speed, An Xian quickly jumped to the driver's seat and took over the steering wheel. The car just swayed for a moment before regaining stability. He calmly cut a hole in his left arm. Then he stretched his hand out of the window. The flesh and blood of the Star Warriors were more attractive to poisons. Eat the driver clean. The poisonous creature smelled An Xian's blood and instantly became possessed. An Xian stepped on the accelerator to the bottom. He had vaguely seen the artillery fire from the direction of Jirao. Lead the poison to Jirao and completely destroy the Jirao paddy field system. As long as the goal is achieved, all sacrifices are worth it. After 20 minutes, the poison's interest was worn off. An Xian cut off his left arm without hesitation. The poison swept in and devoured it in the blink of an eye. When you climb over a hill, the city wall of Jirao comes into view. An Xian finally showed a look of joy. Arrive. At the same time, both the siege coalition forces and the Jirao defenders discovered this uninvited guest. Not knowing whether they were enemies or friends, both sides stopped fighting tacitly. At this moment, the endless artillery fire was followed by an eerie calm. In such a dramatic situation, An Xian led the poisonous creature closer. They couldn't see what the dark mass behind the car was. But there are only two types, mutants and star beasts, and they are never good things. Attack the oncoming vehicle. Hit that car first. Li Gong and the enemy leader once again gave the same order in tacit agreement. Under the dense artillery fire. In an instant, An Xian's car exploded into dazzling fireworks. However, no one noticed that a dark figure tumbled out from the fire. Lying on the ground. An Xian, who luckily escaped death in the explosion, suffered extensive burns on his body. The broken part of his left shoulder was blown into a bloody mess, emitting a burnt smell. Who? An Xian tried to slow down his breathing as much as possible. He could sense that he would not live long. But seeing the poisonous creature rushing towards Jirao, excitement flashed in his eyes. It's worth it, it's worth it. Ha, ha ha, cough cough cough. An Xian wanted to laugh out loud, but after just 2 laughs, he started coughing violently. The coughed up blood dyed the ground red, mixed with unknown internal organs. He quickly shut up. He couldn't die now. He wanted to see the poison contaminating Jirao before he died. Both sides destroyed Zizen's car. Concentrated fire poison at the same time. This damn thing makes people feel uneasy just by looking at it. The bullets and cannons devoured the poison instantly. Suddenly, the black mist surrounding the poison increased greatly. The bullets that came close to the body were corroded and melted immediately. The shells were slower, but they also could not escape the fate of being corroded. Li Gong's heart sank. I hate these weird things the most. Rather than fight this damn thing, he would rather find 10 power-type mutants of the same level. The poison went straight to the city wall. Upon seeing this, the siege coalition forces immediately stopped their fire and watched the show leisurely. They are not An Xian, and they don't know what the consequences will be if the poison enters Jirao. I only know that if this thing can conquer Jirao, I can reap the benefits. Song Yanwen climbed up to the top of the city wall and stared at the poisonous creature with a serious expression. Suddenly white mist rose. The black and white colors collided violently. There was a sizzling sound at the junction. The poison resisted with black fog, and its real body rushed straight into the city. How many people are there outside the city and on the city walls? Even if there are Star Warriors, what can they do? Under the city wall, countless serfs from Jirao gathered. The sheer number of people coming together produces a qualitative change, and the rushing blood and energy stimulates its sensory nerves. Rush down and have a feast. Seeing this, Song Yanwen shouted anxiously. Stop it! Li Gong, Yang Gai and Zhang Mao set off at the same time. Even Shen Zhu and Zheng Hu from the Yingguang Council did not rest. The 5 men attacked the poisonous creature. But the poison released a black mist that was even more powerful than before. The black fog is highly toxic and corrosive. The moment the 5 people came into contact with the black fog, a layer of skin was lost. Don't get close. This stuff is poisonous. Long range attack. Shen Zhu, who was slightly weaker, had the poison enter his body, his face turned black, and his body fell downwards. Zhang Hu didn't care about the poison, he quickly caught Shen Zhu and used his star power to force out the poison for him. The other 3 were helpless. After Song Yanwen dealt with that part of the black fog, he came to support. On the siege coalition side, someone flew high into the air, overlooking the scene in the city. Xizan fell to the ground helplessly, but his eyes never left Jirao's direction. He couldn't see what was happening in the city, but he was waiting for that moment to come. Several people surrounded the poisonous creature. The poisonous creature spewed out black mist crazily. The thick black fog continued to spread, and in the eyes of the serfs below, the entire sky seemed to be covered. In an instant, day and night alternated. A black fog fell, and any serfs that came into contact with it died suddenly. The black mist used the corpses of the serfs as nutrients to nourish and grow stronger, then transformed into more black mist and spread around. Song Yanwen and his men all used their own methods. The poisonous creatures didn't fight them at all, they just kept running away. While escaping, he absorbed the black mist into his body to replenish his own consumption. If it were anywhere else, it wouldn't last long. But there are so many people down there. Every time a person is devoured, more black fog will be produced. And it only spewed out the first wave of black mist. The back is purely harvesting. Consumption is constantly replenished, just like a perpetual motion machine. This is its paradise. Chapter 95. In the land of Jirao, black fog rises, like a purgatory on earth. As the serfs fled, crying for their parents. There are 2 cars that stand out from the rest. A grain truck. The wine fairy gulped down the wine. The gourd may look small, but the wine inside seems endless. His eyes were blurry, his face was flushed, and he reeked of alcohol. The surging black fog was like meeting its natural enemy when it came into contact with the smell of alcohol, and it couldn't even get close to him. Someone found that the area around the grain truck was safe. They pressed towards the grain truck, but once they were smelled of alcohol, they instantly became drunk and fell to the ground. After a while, dozens of people were lying on the ground in a mess. In the car, the drunken immortal gathered his star power and allowed his brain to be anesthetized by alcohol. The feeling of being drunk made him obsessed and he was completely unaware of what was happening in the outside world. Just repeating it over and over in his mouth. How can a car talk? And have a face? I haven't heard that the No. 8 Research Institute has this kind of Xingguo technology. Or is it some alien robots invading? No, it's because of drinking that it damaged my brain. I'll ask Dr. Lan to check my brain when I get back. A pickup truck next to a grain truck. The 2, one big and one small, slept soundly. There was a crackling sound inside the iron sheet, and all the miscellaneous items were put away. By connecting the front and rear seats, the interior of the car is transformed into a double bed. Coupled with excellent sound insulation and the iron sheet's own defense and warning system. The 2 of them slept soundly. The menacing black fog, with its deadly toxicity, has no effect on the iron skin of mechanical creatures. Even the troublesome corrosion can only corrode the surface paint of this material, which is famous for its defense. Even when the iron cover was closed, the 20 bags of rice were not affected. Holding An Xian's thighs, An Yu, who was sleeping in a sloppy posture, whimpered and woke up leisurely. Her eyelids were slightly stretched, revealing a hint of light pink. After waking up, he was dazed for a few seconds, then he crawled to the window using all fours and looked outside. This sight suddenly made me sober. Brother! Brother! The unknown black fog made An Yu feel a little panicked. But when I saw An Xian sleeping soundly, my panic disappeared. Ah! An Xian rubbed his head. There was an ugly guy spewing black air everywhere. It was dark outside and many people died. An Yu talked about what he saw. The omniscient vision unfolded, and combined with An Yu's words, An Xian understood the general situation. Just say you take a nap, the more you sleep, the colder it gets. It turns out that this ghost thing blocked the Sunday stand up, hold the knife, and get out of the car. The moment the door opened, Hungji Shikai. High in the sky. The poisonous creature was circling around as Song Yanwen and his gang were chasing it. With the help of the black fog, he can always dodge attacks accurately. Song Yanwen racked his brains to think of a countermeasure. A figure soared into the sky. There was a faint red glow on his body. In the black fog, the skin is constantly corroded and then regenerated in an instant. Mr. An. Song Yanwen took a closer look and a look of delight appeared on his face. It's settled. Zhang Mao, who had never seen An Xian take action, saw the other three stop. Before he could ask any questions, An Xian rushed straight towards the poisonous creature. Alarm bells rang in the poisonous creature's heart, and the black fog quickly gathered. The black fog that enveloped it was so thick that it seemed as if water was about to drip out. This made it feel a little more at ease. But at this moment, a red light came slashing over. The black fog that it relied on was torn to pieces in an instant. The red light locks onto the poison, and its power remains undiminished. The poisonous creature panicked, causing a black fog riot on the side. At the critical moment, push your body 2 inches to the side. The red light flew past its original position and slashed towards the sky. Wherever it went, the black fog had no power to resist. An Xian knife. The black fog that covered the sky and the sun was cut through. The warm sunshine is spreading again. The poisonous creature turned around and ran away without stopping. If you can't win, you will die. Do you know how comfortable it is to take a nap in the sun? An Xian, still in a bad mood after waking up, approached. I'm awake, you want to run? The poisonous creature felt someone appear beside him and organized his defense in panic. However, it didn't even have time to turn around and didn't even see anyone. Hong Ji slid across the poison like a pool of autumn water. Cut it off completely. Smoother than a hot knife through butter. The main feature is smoothness. Just, kill him. Zhang Maoren was dumbfounded. Song Yanwen and the other two didn't think there was anything wrong with it, they just came to thank An Xian again and again. Siege Coalition. Floating high in the sky and looking inside at the man, he saw An Xian instantly kill the poisonous creature, and his heart sank suddenly. With such a strong man, what's the point of fighting? Even if we break into the city, they can kill us all with just a few swords, just like cutting melons and vegetables. Wouldn't that be like a piece of cake? He was about to fall. Suddenly, I caught a glimpse of the black fog that filled the city. It not only did not dissipate, but instead began to surge. People in the city also noticed something unusual. With his omniscient vision, An Xian sensed the poisonous creature's corpse that was cut in half. After a quick glance, I became confused. The soul begins to collapse and is completely dead, but why is the body still responding? The next moment, all the black fog gathered towards the poisonous creature's corpse. An Xian raised his eyebrows slightly. He's still not honest even after he's dead. I'm too lazy to think about it. No matter what tricks he uses, I can break them with one knife. Razor Red Princess. The crimson crescent flew and slashed. An Xian rubbed his head and walked towards the pickup truck, intending to finish his unfinished nap. Facts have proved that no matter what the strength is, as long as you don't sleep well, you will still have a headache. He walked to the car and suddenly stopped. I saw the crimson crescent touching the poisonous corpse. No living poison can stop it. What's more, it's dead. The poisonous corpse decomposed, as expected. Unexpectedly, the black fog that surrounded the poisonous creature's body did not dissipate. It gathers to a limit and is stimulated by external forces. It froze for a moment, then suddenly exploded. And it uses the poison itself as nourishment, and the situation becomes more and more serious. Almost in an instant, the sky was shrouded in black fog again. This time there was no poison control, and the black fog spread with the wind. There is a tendency to sweep across the 9 regions. The earth slope outside the city. Ha ha ha. Seeing this scene, Xizan couldn't help laughing out loud. Perhaps it was a last burst of energy, he propped himself up and stood up. It is the biggest toxin itself. It comes into play after death. Jirao, it's over. Ha 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 ha. Leisure is very annoying. I'm really annoyed by this damn thing. If it's somewhere else, love is yours. But Jirao cannot be destroyed. Whether it is because of the cool shade under the rice plants or the freshly tasted Jirao rice. An Xian walked to the grain cart in 2 or 3 steps and grabbed the wine gourd of the drunken immortal. Stop drinking and get up to work. Zhu Zongxiangsu took a sip, only to find that the wine gourd had been taken away. His brain froze and he was stunned. It seemed that he was really drunk. Sake. An Xian didn't say much. He condensed his star power into a needle and stabbed it into the drunken immortal's lower body. Oh shit! When his second brother was threatened, the drunken immortal sobered up immediately. A curse word came out of his mouth, and the smell of alcohol was expelled as the star power circulated. What do you want to do, kid? The drunken immortal glared at An Xian. An Xian threw the wine gourd to him. I called you but you didn't respond. There's nothing I can do about it. Chapter 96. The drunken immortal glared at An Xian. Quickly sort out the current situation. Realizing that now was not the time to argue with An Xian, he snorted coldly, opened the car door and got out. The wine gourd was uncorked and the clear wine flowed upstream. It continued to expand in the process and soon became a long river. The scene of rivers backflowing deeply shocked everyone. The wine turned into gas and spread at a faster speed than the black fog, enveloping the black fog. He couldn't sense An Xian in the distance, but he was clear about the situation of the black fog above his head. It's a bit slow. The black fog was dissipated by the smell of alcohol, and An Xian decided to add fuel to the fire. Ironhide, make a fire. The pickup truck drove up with its hood raised. Under the astonished gaze of the drunken immortal, he pointed a tube at the mouth of the wine gourd and extended it. Call flame jet. The wine flowing out of the gourd was stained and ignited instantly, spreading rapidly upwards. Old drunkard, your wine is of high purity, it burns quickly. Relaxed praise. In less than a second, the sky above was already a sea of fire. The flames followed the smell of alcohol and spread beyond the omniscient field of vision. In just a dozen seconds, the entire Jiraiya was covered by the curtain of fire. Outside the city, Xizan's eyes showed despair. He saw the black mist being consumed in flames. The blood color on his face due to the last rays of light faded. His body swayed, and he fell to the ground, his life force slowly dissipating. It's all in vain. It's all in vain. Are you crazy? When the drunken immortal came to his senses, it was too late. The curtain of fire has spread. He hurriedly mobilized his star power to keep the aroma of alcohol suspended in the air. Jiraiya, under the curtain of fire, completes the transformation from the golden autumn of September to the hottest days of summer in just 1 second. Leisurely smile. Knowing that good intentions can lead to bad consequences. The black fog has been solved, but Jiraiya seems to be finished too. What's the point in the end? It's better to let the black fog do its thing. How about you put the fire back into the wine gourd? A leisurely suggestion. Veins bulged on the drunken immortal's forehead, and he roared as his star power was continuously output. Laozi, this is a wine gourd, not a fire gourd. The fire burned more and more fiercely. The temperature below soared. The serfs of Jiraiya were overwhelmed and hid in the fields. Each one of them stuck out their tongue like a dog. The water in the fields evaporated quickly, the paddy fields dried up, and each rice plant showed signs of dying. What a thing! An Xian sighed and had to resort to extreme measures. Old drunkard, hold on for a while. I have a way. The drunken immortal said nothing. Just carry it, there will be no problem in the short term. He planned to try An Xian's method, and if that didn't work, he would use his own clumsy method to solve the problem. Take a deep breath. A hot stream mixed with a strong smell of alcohol flows through the nasal cavity into the lungs. He held his breath, calmed his mind, and tried hard to find the scent of rice. Time passes by every second. Gradually, some people could not hold on any longer and fell into a coma due to dehydration. There were also cracks on the ground. Seeing this, the drunken immortal raised the fire curtain as high as possible. His star power had long since been integrated into the rich aroma of alcohol. Trying to put out the fire with star power will only backfire. The drunken immortal began to use the wine vapor to carry the sea of fire and move out of the city. This is his stupid way. Since it can't be destroyed, just throw it into the wasteland. He glanced at An Xian who didn't take any action. It's not that I don't believe him, but just in case. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. If the piece fails, he can also throw out part of the sea of fire. Suddenly, the drunken immortal felt that the star power in the Star City was becoming restless. Originally, while it was constantly consuming energy, it could also absorb some star power to recover a little. Now I can't absorb it at all. What's going on? He sought the source of the incident. After a few seconds, the drunken immortal discovered that the source was right in front of him. It's you. The silent tranquility began to move. Hard work pays off, and he found that hint of rice fragrance. This means that he has successfully connected to Jiraiya star and can use the power of the star. If you are not next to the star, it is impossible to fuse the star. But that doesn't mean there are no other ways. Hanging in the air, he exerts all his strength to exercise the power of the stars. If Jiraiya is regarded as a large porcelain jar, Zhongli is regarded as the water in the jar. At that moment, what he was doing was taking an iron rod and stirring the tank frantically. The seemingly small iron rod possesses power that should not be underestimated. The water in the porcelain jar was stirred and splashed everywhere, forming a huge uzumaki. Similarly, star power storms rose in Jiraiya. The sea of fire in the sky, without the help of the drunken immortal. Facing the encirclement and attack of star power storms, it seems vulnerable. The sea of fire did not even last 10 minutes before it was completely extinguished, at the cost of disrupting the star power of the entire Jiraiya. He fell down leisurely and spread his hands. Solved. You. The drunken immortal's throat felt dry. The wine gourd stopped gushing out wine, so he grabbed it and took a long sip, moistening his throat before asking. This star power is restless, how did you do it? Just do this first, then that, and then stir it. The tone was relaxed and he said it very simply. I can do an A level, so you should be able to do it too, right? The drunken immortal was speechless. Me? I can FG do it. An Xian pretended to be surprised. You can't do it. No way. You can't do it. The drunken immortal is really bad at holding his breath. Returned to the car with a cane at ease. Looking at his back, there were only 2 words in the drunken immortal's mind. Monster. When I woke up, the sun was setting. And you got a pot from somewhere and steamed a pot of Jiraiya rice. They called the wine immortal and the 3 of them had a simple meal. For some unknown reason, the artillery fire outside the city had not stopped for a long time. After the drunken immortal left, An Xian took into consideration that the iron sheet was not painted with star paint and could not be driven on wasteland. So I planned to ask Song Yan when to get me a star-painted car. Dad. My son called. Dad. My son called. The cell phone on the center console rang. And you crawled over and took the phone. Brother, unknown number. As I was talking, I accidentally pressed the answer button. If I am at ease, when receiving an unknown number, I will hang up the first time it calls, and will only answer the second time it calls. If it is a scammer, I will basically hang up and won't call again. What we are preventing is first-hand fraud. But An Yu accepted it, so An Xian took it over. If it's a scam, just kill yourself as soon as possible, otherwise just wait to die at home. Little brother, it's me, Wang Gang. The voice on the other end of the phone trembled nervously. The volume was turned down to the extreme. Wang Gang? Remember to save his number. Did this old guy change his phone number? Speak calmly. Are you a thief? Or are you having an affair and got caught on the balcony by your boyfriend? Wang Gang covered his injured leg and huddled behind a trash can, leaving one eye exposed and looking out. He was in no mood to joke. Brother. Huai and I were arrested. I heard that they seemed to want to threaten you with us. I escaped, stole a cell phone and called you. Woof woof. A dog barked from the other end of the receiver. Then a noisy and chaotic sound was heard. It ended with a few gunshots and the sound of a heavy object falling to the ground. Chapter 97. An Xian hung up the phone expressionlessly. Then, he dialed Ling Xing's contact number. Brother Xian? I was just about to call you. I have found the list of the train and will send it to you right away. Good. By the way, you are looking for me. Check again what happened to the 2 people who entered the city with me after I left Heido Star City. This is easy. Ling Xing agreed immediately. Heido is not a special star city, and the Xinjiao group has a considerable presence in it. It's quite easy to check 2 people. I'll send it to you as soon as possible, half an hour at most. Good. Hang up the phone. Ling Xing sent a list. It was the crew list of the train on the Jiraiya to Heido line that day. The list was so detailed that even the name of every flight attendant was included. Safely eliminate the list of middle and low-class carriages. Although he didn't want to admit it, the fact was that there were only a few weirdos like him who preferred to sleep in the lower-class carriages instead of the higher-class carriages. This is especially true for those who consider themselves upper class. An Xian handed the phone to An Yu. Can you find out who has my eyes? It should be possible. An Yu wasn't quite sure. Never had any contact with him, never met him, and I don't have any of his belongings. This was the first time she had ever found someone based solely on their name. Let's try it. If it doesn't work, we'll think of another way. There is no need to force peace. Last time, I asked An Yu to look for it directly, which had already alarmed him. If it happened again, An Xian was afraid that he would become desperate and ruin his eyes. Then, I will become a fun person. It's safer to start with the name first. An Yu glanced at the list. After excluding people in the middle and low-level carriages, the number of people dropped by 90%. This is because Jirao's deformed organ trade often attracts many distinguished guests. Otherwise, the ratio of premium carriages to other carriages will be further expanded. On ordinary days, it is rare for 1 out of 100 people to be qualified to stay in a premium carriage. An Yu stared at the first name. Fast. Mutter it over and over again to commit it to memory. Then he closed his eyes and sniffed. After more than 10 seconds, he opened his eyes. Tasteless, next one. Zhong Feng Mao. Same steps, same result. After several attempts, none of them yielded any results, and An Yuxing's power was on the verge of exhaustion. It's just a name, which is difficult and time-consuming. But she was not panicked but happy instead. Brother. As long as he is in there, I will definitely find him. There was no uncertainty in An Yu's childish voice. I'm not afraid of high consumption, I'm afraid of no consumption. If there is consumption, it means that the ability is effective. An Xian drew upon the original star power of Jirao's star while cheering her on. A few minutes later, An Yu, who had little star power reserves, fully recovered and continued to work. Repeat this 3 to 5 times. The person was not found, but An Yu broke through to level E naturally. This is undoubtedly a pleasant surprise. The star power reserves have expanded exponentially, and An Yu is more motivated. Zhang Qin. With his eyes closed, the star power began to flow. I thought it was a woman, so I didn't expect it. A pungent fragrance suddenly rises. An Yu opened his eyes and quickly closed them again. Zhang Qin, are my brother's eyes on Zhang Qin? She asked herself this. Second confirmation. After repeated questioning, my heart gradually became nervous, until the familiar fragrance came again. Brother. Found it. A relaxed smile appeared on An Xian's lips. Beep, beep. There was a message on the phone. An Yu took a look. It was sent by brother Ling Xing. Open it and take a look. 3 messages in total. There is a voice message at the front and back, and a picture in the middle. Ling Xing, brother Xian, 2 people named Wang Gang and Li Huai were arrested by the Heiduo Star Lord. They were allegedly related to the Nanan remnants and are being detained for investigation. The voice entered his ears, and his omniscient vision swept over the second picture. Peace of mind comes from finding eyes, and the good mood becomes silent. The picture is captured from surveillance. There were several people carrying a strong man out of the alley. There were several bullet holes on the strong man's body and blood was all over the ground. It was unknown whether he was dead or alive. The first voice message is played and the second one plays automatically. Ling Xing, I don't know how Wang Gang escaped, but he was found just before you called me. The result was like the picture. The person was taken to the Hadou military headquarters, dead or alive. Before he could finish his words, the voice cut off. It is unclear whether he is dead or alive. Complete this sentence with peace in your heart. It looks just like the picture and the last sound I heard on the phone just now. I'm afraid that if you don't understand these 3 words, they are mostly for comfort. Take a deep breath of relief. Rescue Wang Gang and Li Huai from Nanan, and the previous matters will be settled. He has done his best. A star or forward protector was exchanged for 2 lives, and Wang Gang made a huge profit. Theoretically, if something happens to Wang Gang again, what does it have to do with him? If he's dead, he's dead. Our relationship wasn't that deep. But that's not how it works. It would be fine if someone else died, but he was arrested because of me, and was beaten to death for informing me. An Xian opened the door, got out of the car, and went towards the city wall. This feeling is really unpleasant. The city gates opened. A star-painted car drove out. An Yu was driving the car. Yes, it was An Yu who was driving the car. An Xian used the excuse that children need exercise and An Yu was eager to try. Song Yanwen had no choice but to arrange for someone to make a minor modification to the star paint car. In fact, it is just a simple matter of raising the seat and stretching the accelerator, brake, and clutch. Allow An Yu to drive from an adult's perspective. The petite An Yu drove the car clumsily, and her speed was much slower than An Xian. He stroked the pinky ring leisurely, without any hurry. Children, you always need to exercise. He was thinking about something else, and seemingly inadvertently, he encountered a bug. The rice in the pickup truck bed was unexpectedly collected together when the iron sheet was transformed into a pinky ring. What is this? A free space ring? Unfortunately, if you want to take it out, you have to press enter first. But I am also satisfied with the peace and quiet, after all, it is free. Brother, aren't we going to say hello to the old drunkard? Never mind him. When leaving, An Xian wanted to ask Zhang to go with him. But when I looked over, I saw that the old man was drunk again. He kept muttering things like the new wave pushes the old wave out, monster, old and useless. An Xian felt that the old man was enjoying his drink, so he just let him drink there. Finally, out of caring for the elderly, they also took away a dozen bags of rice from the grain truck to reduce his burden. He set out on the journey carrying more than 30 bags of Jirao rice. However, An Yu was stopped when he was driving unsteadily past the siege coalition camp. The newcomers were those who arrived later, leading the reinforcements from Hongchuan Star City. In addition to supporting the coalition forces of the two cities and capturing Jirao, he had another purpose. I was ordered to win over An Xian, so it doesn't matter if I use some small tricks. When a car came out from Jirao, the people below reported it immediately. An Yu drove slowly, and the faces of the two were photographed and passed to the leader Hongchuan. He rushed over as soon as he saw it. Mr. An. Get lost. Commander Hongchuan's face froze, and he wanted to speak. An Xian said to the little pink-haired girl. Step on the gas, or I'll kill him if he doesn't give way. The leader of Hongchuan was furious. Immediately throw out the trump card learned from Hado to threaten An Xian. An Xian. Don't you want to know where Wang Gang and Li Huai are? An Xian heard this and grasped his cane. Parking. An Yu rushed forward and almost hit the leader of Hongchuan before he found the right time to brake. Seeing the car stop, Hongchuan leader immediately put on a smile. Mr. An, I don't mean anything else. I just want to have a good talk with you. You're a little out of touch. Open the door and get off at your leisure. The leader of Hongchuan was puzzled. Isolated? What do you mean? An Xian flashed behind the leader, and Hongji unsheathed and put the sword back into the sheath in an instant. Blood was spilled all over the place, and a head with a puzzled look fell to the ground, along with a sentence. You're really good at running right into the muzzle of a gun. Chapter 98. The blood flowed down and gathered on the tip of the knife and dripped. The blood beads blossomed into flowers, smiling leisurely at the besieging coalition forces. The smile is as warm as the sunshine. The siege coalition forces retreated together, feeling the chill emanating from their bones. Asked casually and politely. Excuse me, is there anyone else who wants to talk to me? After a long time, no one responded. It seems that there is no more. An Xian regretfully put away the knife. The siege coalition forces breathed a sigh of relief, but the next words they heard made them worry again. But now that someone is riding on my neck, if I don't do anything, won't it make me look like I'm easy to bully? Is this what they call, good people are bullied? An Xian muttered to himself and returned to the car. The next moment, the car's sunroof opened and a little pink-haired head popped out. Following An Xian's signal, An Yu nimbly climbed onto the roof of the car. After she stood firm, she looked at the attacking coalition forces. Her rosy face has the luster of mutton fat jade. She is so delicate and beautiful, just like a doll, which makes people like her. Just when everyone was wondering what this pink-haired little loli was going to do, An Yu pulled out a big gun, acted calmly, and asked politely. Brother asked me to use up all my star power. Please stand still and don't move, okay? Driving leisurely and slowly, his omniscient vision swept towards the back seat. The little pink-haired cat curled up and slept soundly. This girl. An Xian sighed and drove obediently. Let her use up all her star power, leaving nothing at all. He fell down after the fight. How honest. I had no choice but to remove the accessories installed on the driver's seat, restore it to normal and then do it myself. A wasteland is not as good as a planned city. An Xian drove very slowly. If the speed increases, there may be a cliff ahead outside the omniscient vision, and you will be doomed if you rush down. People will be fine, but the car may be fine. When we got to the next star city, we pointed at it before applying star paint to the iron sheet. The journey from the city to the boundary marker, which normally takes less than half an hour, took almost 2 hours. The moment we passed the boundary marker, the system broadcast sounded. Ding! It is detected that the host has left the range of Jireo Star City. A farewell gift is given to the iron skin, granting it the ability to evolve. It can strengthen its own defects by swallowing metals, minerals, or special substances. Star Mine. The first thing An Xian thought of was star mines. In this world, star mines are too unique. Tongzi, if Ironhide devours the star ore, can it resist the radiation of the wasteland? Yes. This has potential. An Xian took off her pinky ring and threw it out of the window. The pinky ring turned into a pickup truck after it landed on the ground. Go to Jireo and eat the cars outside the city and see if it has any effect. The pickup truck flashed its headlights in response, then turned around and drove towards Jireo. An Xian turned off the car and waited quietly there. The siege coalition was able to drive themselves to Jireo, which meant they were all driving star-painted cars. Star paint contains star ore, although the content is a bit low, but there are quite a few cars with it. Anyway, many of them were smashed by An Yu. Instead of abandoning them outside the city, it would be better to recycle them. He took out his cell phone, edited the message and sent it to Ling Xing. An Xian, check Zhang Qin's location. Ling Xing, Brother Xian, you can ask President Su about this person. She may know more about him. Su Mei? An Xian called her directly. With the help of Ling Xing, it was so convenient to search for things through the Xinjiao group that I forgot about Su Mei. Once the call was connected, An Xian got straight to the point. Do you know Zhang Qin? Hearing An Xian go straight to the point, Su Mei knew it was serious business. This was the first time that An Xian took the initiative to call me to ask about something, so I must not let him down. Even if she didn't know, she would try her best to find out, especially since she was quite familiar with this person. Yes, she owns a cosmetic contact lens company and is a member of the Beauty Association. Relying on his family background and having a brother who is a member of parliament, he has been coveting my position as president for a long time. An Xian was not interested in the internal affairs of the Beauty Association and did not ask too many questions about it. Where is this person now? I remember seeing her at the association yesterday. Why? Did she offend you? Su Mei's tone became a little more serious. If you want to touch Zhang Qin, it will be a big trouble. If it's not a big deal, I can help. If I'm not mistaken, the eyes in her eye sockets are my eyes. Su Mei was silent. Zhang Qin's face appeared in my mind. Her appearance, which was less than 70%, was brought to over 90% by a pair of eyes that were more delicate than a flawless ruby. Peel off those eyes and imagine them on a peaceful face. Su Mei suddenly felt a 100% fit. I see. Su Mei gave up the idea of reconciliation. The logo of Zhang Qin's contact lens company and herself is her pupils. It is unrealistic to expect her to hand them over voluntarily. She had never even thought of asking An Xian to give up her eyes. Mei Xinhun is in An Xian's hands, so ensuring An Xian's interests is the first thing Su Mei needs to consider. Even if it means taking some serious risks, it is worth it. I'll keep an eye on her. If you can't wait, I can grab her and send her to you. No need to send it over. I'll be done here soon. Just go by yourself. Elder brother. An Yu woke up at some point and was lying on the back of the front seat, calling out An Xian in a crisp voice. He stopped talking to Su Mei and tilted his head, just in time to rub against the soft and smooth pink fur. Woke up. An Yu's tiny pink eyebrows slightly frowned. Let Sister Su send that person over here. An Xian stretched out his hand and pulled An Yu to the front seat. She has special abilities, and her suggestions will be taken seriously by everyone. Could it be possible that you smelled something? An Yu's eyes were confused and distressed. No, but I always feel weird. An Xian is thoughtful. The omniscient vision is running, reviewing the whole thing. From receiving the call from Wang Gang, to the things sent by Ling Xing, to An Yu's premonition. I thought about it from an outsider's perspective and made some guesses. Smell Wang Gang. He paused before continuing. Still alive. Jireo Star City. The siege coalition suffered heavy casualties under An Yu's comfort. With An Xian around, they didn't even dare to think of rebelling. So, leaving behind a field of corpses, weapons, and vehicles, the few survivors withdrew. The threat from the siege coalition has been eliminated, and it is time to reap the fruits of the labor. The Nanan army led by Song Yanwen. A peasant uprising army led by Zhang Mao. The two sides launched a series of negotiations on Jureo. There is no denying that the former has a broad vision and a good brain. But the latter, as a native of Jureo, had good knowledge of this star city, and with the guidance of Assistant Shen, he was not at a disadvantage in the negotiations. There's a car. There's a car coming. As the two sides were talking, shouts were suddenly heard outside. Song Yanwen and Zhang Mao looked at each other. Could it be that the siege coalition received support and made a comeback? The negotiations were suspended immediately. Several people in the temporary command center walked out. The division of the 9 regions was carried out when there was no external enemy. But if there is an external enemy approaching, we must unite to face it. Otherwise the city will be gone, so there is no need to divide them up, just go back to your own homes and play in the mud. Chapter 99. Where's the car? Hurry up and organize the defense. How many people are there in the enemy army? What are their armaments? Which star city's flag is the enemy flying? The shouting scout was immediately surrounded by several big guys and became extremely panicked. Li Gong felt a little embarrassed when he saw that this silly man was from the Nanan army. He slapped him on the back of the head, expressing his disappointment. Hurry up and speak. The others looked into the distance and saw no dust flying in their sight, and no trace of the enemy. But the ones shouting the report were the Nanan army, not the serfs. As a soldier, he would never dare to lie about military intelligence. In that case, what about the car? The scout pointed to a place and spoke stammeringly. There. Several people looked in the direction. The place the scout pointed to was the previous camp of the siege coalition forces. In the camp, there was a pickup truck that was clearly not a military vehicle. Li Gong's face turned dark, and he wanted to open the scout's brain to see what was inside. It's just one car, why are you yelling so damn loud? The scout pointed at the pickup truck, his face flushed. Look, look! It's going to eat the car. The few people who had just retracted their gaze looked over again. It just so happened that the hood of the pickup truck was open. 2 mechanical arms extended from inside, grabbed a car, crushed it into scrap metal, and then devoured it. Several people were stunned. This car is eating cars. Illusion. It must be an illusion. Several people looked at each other with serious expressions. At this time, Jureo was unable to absorb star power as the star power in their bodies was limited. But they did not bother to hold back, and all of them madly released their star power, with their mental power also fluctuating violently, in an effort to break free from the illusion. In the grain transport cart, the drunken immortal woke up after sensing the star power fluctuations of several people. Climb up the city wall with curiosity. I looked down following the gaze of several people. Isn't this An Xian's car? Then we saw the pickup truck grab another car and eat it. Hee. He took a big gulp of wine, walked to the city wall, jumped down, and got into the grain cart. This drink is really strong. I haven't woken up yet. Let's sleep for a while. Mr. N's car. After hearing what the drunken immortal said, Song Yanwen thought for a moment. It's okay, just stop. If it is Mr. N's car, there will be no problem. The man is so strong, the car is special. It should, maybe, it could be normal, right? Li Gong and Yang Gai also showed a matter-of-fact expression, stopped and followed Song Yanwen back. Zhang Mao, Shen Zhu and Zheng Hu were puzzled. However, seeing that Song Yanwen and the other 2 didn't care, he also stopped. The 6 people returned to the temporary command center, and the subsequent negotiations went surprisingly smoothly. 2 hours later, the negotiations ended. The 2 parties jointly governed Jureo, and Song Yanwen and Zhang Mao had equal rights, regardless of size. Jureo was liberated and slavery was abolished. With the Nanan army as the core and newly recruited peasants as recruits, a new army was formed. With reference to the names of Jureo and Nanan, the army's name was initially decided to be Juan. Later, Li Gong felt that it was not good, so he replaced the character with, which has the same pronunciation as. It means long-term peace and stability. The army's name was finally decided to be Juan Army. As soon as this proposal came out, Song Yanwen couldn't help but look up to Li Gong. I didn't expect this guy to have some culture in his head. Finally, the policy of stabilizing Jiraiya first and then recovering Nanan was finalized. Song Yanwen stepped outside. The cooperation matters have been preliminarily determined. It is a delicate job that cannot be completed by a few people in less than half a day to pull a star city back from slavery to normal society. But there is one thing that is urgent at the moment. If the uprising succeeds, then the landlords who have sucked our blood for so many years will no longer have to exist. Everyone. Jiraiya is liberated today. Slavery abolished. Now declare the uprising as the first order. Beat the landlords. Divide the land. Ironhide has grown bigger and returned. Get off at ease. As soon as you step out of the car, you can immediately feel the pervasive radiation. He ignored it, and after climbing onto the iron sheet, he calmed down and took it all in. It took a full 10 minutes before I calmed down. It can block radiation. He knocked on the car body again, feeling its strength. It has been strengthened a little, but not much. It should be because the material it devoured was too low grade. The pickup truck approached the original car, and Anu quickly got in. Then it swallowed up the car. Destination, Hado Star City. Yes. The pickup truck suddenly accelerated. An Xian was shocked. This speed was really fast. As the speed increases, the consumption of star power also increases. He placed his hands on the car body and transmitted star power to the energy core of the iron sheet. Almost in an instant, the energy core was fully charged. The energy storage is a bit low. I don't know how long it can last. An Xian muttered to himself, withdrew his hand, and lay down on the double bed that had been transformed in the car. Although the energy reserves are small, autonomous driving is great. It's the middle of the night. Most of Hado Star City has fallen into darkness. Only the prosperous areas near the city center are still flashing neon lights. In the dark, An Xian held Anu in his arms and quickly closed the distance with Hado Star City. He was a little unsure about the situation in the city. Considering his feeling that Anu was nobody, he decided to play it safe and sneak in first. So when they left the radiation zone, they put the iron sheet away. Outside the city was a gathering place for refugees. Let's be honest. It was the first time for An Xian to actually enter this place. On weekdays, take the train directly into the city. On the rare occasions when I drove myself, I only stopped at the gathering place while waiting to enter the city. In the refugee gathering place, there are only a few entertainment activities in the evening. It has been quite some time since dark, and everything that needed to be solved has already been solved. Elder brother. I need to pee. Stop at your leisure and put down your fishing. It's dark at night, be careful. Good. Anu handed the cane to An Xian and ran to a corner. Waiting. Perhaps hearing the noise outside, a refugee came out and followed the sound towards Anu. Unfortunately, before I took 2 steps, my neck seemed to be pricked and the scenery in front of me began to spin. The last thing you see is your own body. When Anu came out after relieving himself, he saw the refugees with their heads chopped off. Kick his head away like a football and run towards An Xian. After running closer, he spread his arms and jumped lightly. An Xian reached out to take it and handed Hongji to her. I continued towards the city wall, but stopped less than 100 meters away. It seems, I found an acquaintance. Holding Anu, he walked towards a simple wooden house. There is no hiding the movement. As soon as I opened the door, a kitchen knife came towards me. Along with the kitchen knife came a kick aimed at the crotch. Take a step back leisurely. Both the kitchen knife and the broken leg missed. Realizing that the opponent is going to continue the attack, An Xian spoke lightly. If you do it again, get ready to see Grandma. Mr. An. Mr. An. Snap. The kitchen knife fell. A man rushed out of the room. The light from the city wall reflected on his face. His eyes were bloodshot and his beard was growing wildly. The whole person looked extremely haggard. He Lang, are you here to experience the life of a refugee? Chapter 100. In the room, He Lang lit a few pieces of wood, and the wooden house suddenly became bright. Anu looked at him curiously, or more precisely, at Bai Ting behind him. After cooperating with He Lang to attack An Xian once, there was no more movement. Since entering the door, Bai Ting has been sitting in a daze on the straw covered with rags. This alone was not enough to attract Anu's attention. But the deformity of one side of her body made Anu very curious. What's going on? Asked at ease. He Lang showed resentment on his face, but when he looked at Bai Ting, his face turned into bitterness. It was done by the He family. She was on night shift 2 days ago and was kidnapped. I happened to be looking for her, and when I saw her I chased her, and I chased her to the outside of the boundary marker. The gang was well prepared, their car was coated with star paint, but mine was not. They didn't kill Ting Ting, nor did they attack me. They just circled around in the wasteland. It kept going around like this for a few hours, then dumped the person on the wasteland and left. He Lang said as he unzipped his shirt. His chest and abdomen were nearly transparent, and the flesh beneath his skin had disappeared. A layer of semi-transparent skin tightly wraps around the ribs, allowing the internal organs to be clearly seen. When I brought Ting Ting back, it was already too late. My deformity stopped at this point and I became half-deformed, but Ting Ting. Well, it's a sad story. So you can't go back now. Pollution levels are exceeding the limit, and you are not allowed to enter the city. An Xian stroked his chin and asked, what about my interstellar submarine? He Lang seemed to see what he was thinking. Don't worry, the space submarine is not in the He family, but is stored in the No. 8 Research Institute. If you need it, I can get it for you anytime. That's fine. An Xian put one hand on Bai Ting's shoulder. A red light flickered in the palm of her hand and quickly spread throughout her body. Since this old guy is quite sensible, I don't mind giving him some sweet treats. By the way, confirm your own thoughts. Using the red hand and the omniscient vision, he scanned Bai Ting's body minute by minute. Her cells were distorted by the force of radiation. It is not difficult for An Xian, who controls the red hand, to decompose the deformed cells and shape new cells. But he didn't plan to do that. Go out. Ah. He Lang, who was staring at Bai Ting nervously, didn't react. An Yu pulled out Hongji, held the knife with both hands, and pointed the tip of the knife at him. Brother asked you to go out. Ting Ting Shi. It would be easy for my brother to kill you. There's no need to send you away. An Xian closed his newly opened mouth and maintained his master's demeanor. But I couldn't help but complain in my heart. This girl is stealing my words, what should I say? He Lang left without saying anything, as that was the truth. If An Xian really wanted to attack me, I would have no power to resist. After He Lang left, An Xian's palm moved to Bai Ting's head. Under the red light, a hint of light blue emerged. Materialize Bai Ting's soul. A naked, semi-transparent little Bai Ting appeared. The spiritual power contained in it is constantly turbulent. Xiao Beiting's expression was different from the original's dull expression. A look of painful struggle appeared on his face. Moods are also changing dramatically. Take your time and observe carefully. Does radiation affect the soul as well? After thinking for a while, he stuffed her soul back. Blue light covered Bai Ting's head. The radiation that affected Bai Ting's soul was eliminated and it became stable under the influence of the blue hand. At the same time, red hand took action. The distorted cells in Bai Ting's body began to spread rapidly throughout her body. The manifestation on her body was that she quickly became a complete mutant. It should have taken at least a day for the complete deformation to occur, but with An Xian Hongshao's intervention, the whole process was completed in 10 seconds. During this period, peace continued to stabilize Bai Ting's soul. After the wait is complete, the red and blue light dissipates. After a while, Bai Ting woke up. She was completely deformed, but generally there were no abnormal changes. The skin was covered with spider web-like black lines, so dense that it made people dizzy. The eyeballs are more protruding than before, the fingers are long and slender, and the nails are sharp. The hair begins to fall out, and in its place, fine scales cover the head. Although it is not beautiful, the defense has been improved a lot. She is bald and stronger. Ah! Bai Ting suddenly screamed. The penetrating high notes almost made An Xian want to chop her with a knife. Ting ting! Hearing the sound, He Lang rushed in immediately. The moment I saw Bai Ting, I was completely stunned. This. Bai Ting quickly turned her back, not wanting He Lang to see her appearance. He Lang looked at An Xian. Mr. An, Ting Ting. Can't you see? It's a deformed species. An Xian's voice suddenly changed. But it still retains its self-awareness. It's perfect, isn't it? After saying that, he took An Yu's hand, walked around the astonished He Lang, and walked out. I will come to see her changes. Protect her. If she dies, you don't have to live. He dealt with it easily, and some refugees who were awakened by the noise came out to watch the fun. An Xian and the other two continued to move towards the city wall. Brother, what's going on with that sister? Children are very curious, and Yu couldn't help but ask after holding it in for a long time. He walked leisurely without stopping, explaining. The strength of the deformed species is generally stronger than before the deformation. I wonder if distortion is a possibility, a form of evolution. But in the process of evolution, the soul could not hold on, lost its self-awareness, and turned into a monster. So I protected Bai Ting's soul and urged her to complete her transformation. Judging from the results just now, my guess was correct. Gaining power while retaining sanity, this is the perfect distortion. An Yu tried her best to process An Xian's words with her little brain. After processing for a while, it was overloaded and burned. This was a little difficult for her to understand at a young age. It doesn't matter if you don't understand, it's not important. An Yu hesitated for a while and then expressed his opinion. You made that sister look so ugly. But she got stronger. But it's too ugly. Peaceful silence. Even with his thick skin, he couldn't go against his conscience and force himself to praise the beauty of Bai Ting after her deformation. Enter the city at night. Find a cheap hotel that doesn't require any ID information and stay for one night. The next morning, An Yu stayed in the hotel. An Xian used her red hands to fine-tune her face and rented a car to go to the airport. It was not until noon that I picked up a woman and brought her back. The woman was carrying a huge suitcase. Now, people brought it to you. Zhang Qin's identity is somewhat special, so it's a bit troublesome to get her here. This person was Su Mei. Compared to An Xian's Hong Xiao, her way of concealing her appearance was much simpler and more brutal. As the president of the Beauty Association, her makeup skills are superb. It is no exaggeration to say that she has disguised herself. Even her biological mother would not be able to recognize her if she stood in front of her. If An Xian hadn't turned on the omniscient vision and the sensitivity of the eyes, it would have been difficult to find her. Take a deep breath of relief. His fingers fell on the snaps of the suitcase. The excitement made my fingertips tremble. The system once said that when the pupil and the body are in the same star city, there will be some sensitivity. Now that the distance is so close, that mysterious feeling is infinitely magnified. He was absolutely sure that his eyes were inside. Snap! Snaps open. The trunk lid popped up. A woman was inside, her arms and legs twisted, her voice muted, and she was forced inside. Yi Cunyan, do you know how uncomfortable it is for me to be blind for a year? An Xian reached out and ran his fingertips across her face. Then, a finger of powder slipped. Grass. He cursed softly and wiped it clean on Zhang Qin's clothes. Bang! Close the trunk lid firmly and easily. Arrange an operating room immediately and find someone to remove the eyeball. He opened his eyelids, looked at Su Mei with his empty eye sockets, and spoke word by word. People must be professional. If anyone dares to make a mistake at the last minute, I will kill his entire family.
If you're enjoying the story so far and want to hear the next parts, don't forget to like the video. It really helps the channel grow. And if you'd like me to continue the series, drop a comment below letting me know. Your feedback and support keep these audiobooks going strong. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you in the next one.